What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, and we're back with another episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here on our YouTube page, going live, as well as going live over on our Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are watching us on Facebook, feel free to check us out over on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, guys, if you continue to love our content, because we're here every Sunday for you guys live at noon Central Time. So thank you very much for joining us. Enjoying and kicking off, or I should say wrapping up your weekend here with us as we go ahead and break down all the news that went ahead and happened this weekend that we thought was newsworthy for you guys, that we're going to be breaking down. A stacked show today. So get your coffee, get your breakfast, kick back, put your legs up. Maybe it's lunch wherever you certainly are, and definitely go ahead and enjoy some of these topic discussions that we definitely get into. But always remember, guys, these are just simply our A-plus opinions. At the end of the day, we definitely want to go ahead and know yours. So if you have a thought, if you want to go ahead and open up discussion in regards to any of the topics that we talk about, feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after we go, after this episode actually wraps up, and we'll definitely go ahead and continue the conversation with you guys. But it's not just me, even though we don't necessarily have the full crowd here today. We definitely do at least have half of the team. And we definitely have Stuart on hand with us today. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, and good to be back on the show.
Yeah, man. I'm really eager to go ahead and get into some of these topics that we wind up having today. We actually don't have too many honorable mentions to certainly talk about, just because of the fact that I think we've got like 7 topics on deck, and who knows how long we're going to go ahead and talk about these. So didn't really have too much for us to certainly get into beforehand. But I do have one honorable mention this week that I wanted to actually talk to you about. A part of me is actually wishing that Indy was here in order to go ahead and talk a little bit about this also with us, just because of the fact that this is in relation to the Flash television series that just dropped. We are expecting the Tornado Twins here rather soon. I mean, we've seen some behind the scenes photos already of Nora Allen, Bart Allen, certainly returning in their Impulse and XS costumes. Well, we finally got the opportunity to see an official look at Impulse here. Bart Allen, as the CW and WB did release a photo today or earlier this week. So I want to go ahead and highlight that, Stuart. And I gotta say, man, I hate this photo.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
I truly hate this photo. I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't want to say where's the creativity, but where's the effort? You know, what do you think, Andy? I mean, what do you think, Stuart, here?
Well, yeah, there's not really much effort when it comes to kind of the effects that you see outside of his costume. And then not to mention just the pose he's doing. Like, I get what they're referencing, but at the same time, there's a reason you see that pose in comic books and you don't see it in real life, because it's an unnatural pose. It's just really awkward seeing a real person do that. But that said, the photos that I've seen of him, like outside of the official release photos, like the ones that Canada Graphs has been releasing on his blog, those look really good. Like, I do think the costume itself does look amazing on him. I just don't think this photo does any justice for him.
Yeah, I think they did Jordan Fisher dirty with this one. I feel like there's always so much more effort that they've put into other sort of official looks and, first debut or whatever of certain characters. So I feel like they have put their best foot forward before. So the fact that we don't get that here is a little bit of a bummer. For those of you who don't know, this pose is based off of, I believe, was it an Impulse #1 issue, if I'm not mistaken? I believe it's based off of an Impulse cover. Same pose and everything, but looks much better in comic book form than it certainly does in live action. Like, sometimes when I look at this photo, it looks like they literally just CGI'd Jordan Fisher's head onto this body.
Yeah.
At times, and everything else was just kind of computer generated, if you will.
It looks like it's all a cardboard cutout, and Jordan Fisher's face is just like kind of squeezed in there.
Yes, no, I definitely agree. And I would agree with you also, if you haven't had the opportunity to check out the behind the scenes photos of Jordan Fish as Impulse, he's even posted some things that either on his IG page or maybe his Twitter handle. He actually looks great in the costume when you see it live action, but this promotional art of Impulse, unfortunately, not the best. So I wanted to go ahead and highlight that at least, because he is almost here. And Bart Allen is definitely a character that I was really anticipating popping up in the television series. So now that he's here, very excited, but just not necessarily pleased with our official first look, if you will. All right, Stuart, with that out of the way, man, real quick, before we get into some of our main topics, for you guys out there that do have some live viewer questions that you perhaps want to go ahead and submit over to us, you can do that at any time during the week, guys. aplusopinions@gmail.com. Feel free to go ahead and submit them over to us. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com, whether it's a television show you're watching, whether it's a news article you happen to run across, if you have a question, if you want to get our thoughts on anything, go ahead and submit that over, and we'll get to you, to your questions at the end of our episodes, just in case if we are not able to get to some of your guys' comments as the episode continues, guys. So let's go ahead and start getting into some of these topics for the day. Are you ready to go ahead and tackle this with me, Stuart?
Definitely.
All right, man. The first one we're going to go ahead and jump off with is going to be in regards to a Marvel, guys. We're going to play in the Marvel playground just a little bit here as we break down an upcoming Disney Plus Marvel series that's going to be hitting us here in June 9th. So we're very close to it actually dropping. And that is, in fact, the Tom Hiddleston-led Loki series that I think many of us are certainly anticipating. This past week, we wind up getting ourselves a brand new Loki official clip to go ahead and check out. I believe it's Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson's character together. And Entertainment Weekly went ahead and dropped a massive article, not only interviewing Tom Hiddleston, but some of the crew, whether it be the writers, Kevin Feige himself, in regards to pretty much the masterminds in regards to this Loki series. So if you guys are interested, if you go check out our Facebook page, there is an Entertainment Weekly Loki article for you guys to go ahead and read. Now, we will go ahead and preview it for you guys. There's actually like 4 excerpts that I do want to go ahead and pull from this article to certainly talk with you about today, Stuart. But the rest I definitely will leave up to our viewers to go ahead and check out if they want to get all the juicy details about what's certainly coming when it comes to the Loki series. So right now, Stuart, we're 2 for 2 if you ask me in regards to Marvel knocking it out of the park with some great Marvel series so far with Disney Plus. Would you agree?
For sure, definitely.
So I think the anticipation is really riding and continuing to grow when it comes to Loki. Tom Hiddleston, one of Marvel's favorite actors, it feels like. Loki, one of the best characters that we have in the MCU that people absolutely love. We're going to get an opportunity to go ahead and dive into his world just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and actually dive into the article itself and see exactly what they're talking about here. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys. And this is from, again, Entertainment Weekly in regards to Tom Hiddleston as Loki. First and foremost, I absolutely love the fact that they had an animated intro for Loki in here for the actual cover. I remember watching this yesterday as I was getting the thumbnail created, and I was like, why did Tom Hiddleston come back? And then you see him adding the horns for Loki and then putting his head right in the middle. It was absolutely perfect. I mean, if anybody embodies Loki to perfection, it definitely is Tom Hiddleston. But let's go ahead and just pull out a couple things that really jumped out to me when I wind up reading this. So let's see here. It says, this is what Tom Hiddleston said in regards to playing his role as Loki. So it says, rather than ownership, it's a sense of responsibility I feel to give my best every time and do the best that I can, because I feel so grateful to be a part of what Marvel Studios has created. The 40-year-old Brit tells EW over Zoom a few days after a shoot and a week out from Thor's 10th anniversary. He says, I just want to make sure I've honored that responsibility with the best that I can give and the most care and thought and energy, is what Tom Hiddleston winds up saying, which I absolutely love hearing him say, just because of the fact that you get to see not only does his professionalism come across in real life talking about Loki, but that same effort goes into when he's playing Loki on the big screen. And you can certainly see, you can definitely see that firsthand. So it says, after appearing in 3 Thor movies and 3 Avengers movies, Hiddleston is bringing that passion to his first solo Marvel project, Loki, the House of Ideas' 3rd Disney series, following the sitcom WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Led by head writer Michael Waldron, also attached to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He says the 6-episode series sees Hiddleston's shape-changing agent of chaos step out from behind his brother's shadow and into the spotlight for a timey-wimey sci-fi adventure that aims to get to the bottom of who Loki really is. I wanted to explore slightly more complex character questions, is what Michael Waldron says. It's not just good versus bad. Is anybody all good? Is anybody all bad? What makes a hero or a villain a villain. So you hear some of that stuff, Stuart. What's this couple of things that kind of come to mind when you see what it is that Michael Waldron is certainly trying to tackle, and really just Tom Hiddleston's views in regards to playing Loki?
Well, what it sounds like they're kind of going for is the idea that even though Loki is taken prisoner by all the kind of time cops that we see in the trailer, it seems that there might be like kind of a dark side to the time cops, just like there might be a light side to Loki. And I just realized I'm kind of lagging behind there. I apologize. I guess my internet's not very good, but yeah. So I could. Too. Yeah. So like I could see totally what could happen is there could be like situations where like they're asking Loki to do something where even he has moral questions about like the morality of some of the things that they're asking him to do. And so it's kind of that idea that maybe they see the bigger picture and because of that they end up having to do immoral decisions. So yeah, I could see that being kind of a really cool dynamic that they could play with.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're getting into like anti-hero territory, if you will. The idea that he does have his bad side, but there are aspects of him that can come across as good from time to time. So I am eager to see like what situations we find Loki in here that really force him to kind of have to play maybe a different hand than he was certainly expecting. Something that really is going to challenge him in regards to his character work. So I am eager to see what they get into. But some great points there, Stuart. Let's go ahead and get back into the article itself here, where it does go on to say, it says, the Loki we meet on the show is not the one who fought the Avengers in 2012 and evolved into the anti-hero in Thor, the Dark World and Thor Ragnarok before meeting his demise at the hands of the Mad Titan Thanos in Infinity War. Instead, we'll be following a Loki from a branched timeline, a variant, if you will, after he stole the Tesseract following his thwarted New York invasion and escaped S.H.I.E.L.D. custody during the time heist featured in Avengers Endgame. In other words, this Loki hasn't gone through any sort of redemption arc. He's still the charmed yet petulant god who firmly believes he's destined to rule and has never gotten his just due. So premiering June 9th, it says Loki begins with the Time Variant Authority, a bureaucratic organization tasked with safeguarding the proper flow of time, arresting the Loki variant seen in Endgame because they want his help in fixing all the timeline problems he's caused while on the run with the Tesseract. So there will be time travel and a lot more of it than even an Endgame. As Loki makes his way through his own procedural, he'll match wits with new characters, including Owen Wilson's Agent Mobius, a brilliant TVA analyst, and Juju Mabatha Raw, who plays Judge Renslayer. The question in early episodes is whether Loki will help them or take over. And he says one of the things that Kevin Feige led on was, I think we should find a way exploring the parts of Loki that are independent of his relationship with Thor or seeing him in any duality or in a relationship with others, which I thought was very exciting, is what Tom Hiddleston says, who also serves as an executive producer on the show. So that Odin Son saga, the trilogy of the films, still has its integrity, and we don't want to reopen it and retell it. So it definitely feels as though they're definitely not going back and telling us the same saga that we've seen so far in the other Thor movies. They're really going ahead and certainly trying to make this its own separate thing, if you will. So I alone am excited to kind of see what they have in store. But what do you get from this, Stuart, listening to this?
Yeah, it's going to be really cool seeing like this version of Loki that we haven't seen since the first Avengers movie. And yeah, so like all that development that he's gone through the other Thor movies, like, and the relationship that really grew between Thor and Loki, that's all going to be wiped away. And something I kind of hope we get to see from this later on is whether or not it's in this television series or we see it in an upcoming Marvel movie. I'd love to see kind of Thor have kind of a similar moment to Peter Quill in Avengers Endgame, where he saw Gamora and assumed it was the same Gamora that he lost and then realized that it wasn't. I would love to see the same thing kind of happen with Thor and Loki, like Thor overly trusts Loki more than he should because he's like, thinking back on the last time he knew or last time he saw Loki, when Loki literally literally died trying to save Thor. So, you might have Thor giving a little bit too much trust to this version of Loki, and that that could lead to his that could lead to some mischief, let's just say.
That would actually be pretty interesting to see like where Loki pops up, especially based off of the fact that they are going to be doing a ton of time traveling in here. I am curious to see if he manages to stumble into an actual current timeline moment that we've seen Loki in before. Like, who knows? Maybe there are moments in Loki's life that we have seen in the movies that maybe wasn't the Loki that we know of, but maybe was this version of Loki. Like, it would be pretty funny to see if he accidentally jumps into a scene that we're familiar with, or or what type of time traveling he's really going to do. But I agree with you, Stuart, in the sense that, you know, them mentioning that this really is going to be a significantly different Loki that hasn't had that journey that we've been able to follow him on. So it is going to feel very much like we're watching the original Loki from the first Avengers, if you will, kind of thrusted into these positions. So you can definitely expect a different personality to definitely build out of this. So I think it's great that they, first off, that Tom Hiddleston even wants to come back to continue along with this character. He clearly loves it. But now it almost feels like this is just another fresh take. Not that they've done everything that they possibly can with the Loki character, but maybe just that saga of Loki's life. And now this is sort of a rebirth, if you will, and now seeing him launched in a completely new direction. So it kind of makes Loki even fresher, I feel like, than what we've had before, which gets me kind of excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'd say one thing that really helps, like you were saying, is with Tom Hiddleston's like devotion to the character. I think the fact that he loves playing Loki is what makes it so much more entertaining for us as an audience to enjoy watching him play Loki.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Kaya also does here in the live chat, says I'm so looking forward to this show. Yeah, you know, I got to say, for me, while I necessarily wasn't super looking forward to this show, like I don't think this was like my number one or anything like that. I gotta say, the idea of like, once I started seeing the trailers and things like that and some of the official clips and just seeing what Loki's really going to be getting into, it definitely has built up my interest, because there are some scenes in the trailer where I have no idea what planet, what time this guy is on. So I think this show itself is really going to just expand the MCU incredibly. So I think it probably even helps the idea that if we have Loki that's going to be traveling through the multiverse, maybe doing some time traveling himself, I almost feel like that does open the door for like the next Disney series. And what is it? What If, I believe that's dropping this summer. So I feel like it's probably the perfect order to release some of these Marvel television shows in.
I was actually kind of thinking with something similar. You have with What If, it could be easily tied into the Loki series, and then it could also have somewhat of a tie-in with the Doctor Strange movie as well.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's continue along with this article. I think it's like two more aspects of this article I want to go ahead and point out. It says, when Hiddleston returned to film 2 scenes in Avengers Endgame in 2017, he had no idea where Loki portaled off to after snatching the Tesseract. Where'd he go? When does he go? How does he get there? There are all questions I remember asking on that day and then not being given any answers, is what Tom Hiddleston recalls. To be fair, it's likely the powers that be didn't necessarily have the answers then either. While Feige can't exactly recall when the writer's room for Endgame first devised Loki's escape sequence, he does know that setting up a future show wasn't the primary goal when that happens, because the Loki series wasn't on the horizon just yet. That scene was more of a wrinkle so that one of the missions that the Avengers went on in Endgame could get screwed up and not go well, which is what required Cap and Tony to go further back in time into the 70s, is what Feige says. Soon after that, though, former Disney CEO Bob Iger approached Feige about producing content for the studio's forthcoming streaming service. I think that notion that we had left this hanging loose end of Loki gave us the in for what a Loki series could be. So by the time Endgame did come out, we did know where it was certainly going to go. So I found that interesting, Stuart, the idea here that we've got these Marvel executives who, for the most part, we've always recognized them as always having these broad plans, right? And knowing what they're going to do with all these characters and all these shows and movies, 5 years out, 10 years out, whatever the case may be. And coming to find out when we have here for Loki escaping in Endgame that they really didn't have any plans for Loki afterwards. That it was just like, well, we needed this situation for the movie, and they just happened to stumble onto this Loki series. I think that's hilarious, honestly.
Not only is that hilarious, that's actually really surprising to me, because I remember watching that scene in theaters and my immediate thought was, they're setting something up with that. There's
Right?
no way they're
There's
just
no
going to
way.
ignore that. So like, it's really funny to think that that was originally just there like as kind of an obstacle and not like meant to set anything up for like, the long run. But I think just the way it works out just ended up working out for everyone in the long run.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you because I had that same moment in the movie theaters thinking to myself, I wonder what Kevin Feige has in store for us. I mean, if anything, it does make me curious as to where Loki's story could have eventually crept back up in. Like I'm wondering if he probably would have naturally popped up in maybe the next Thor movie. You know what I mean? Like if they really didn't have plans for him and the idea of streaming service just kind of came Marvel's way, I do wonder if Loki's next stop might have been the next Thor movie, if not for this series.
I would think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Here, let's go ahead and jump into our last aspect of this to go ahead and talk a little bit further about this. But it says the thing that truly sold Tom Hiddleston on the show was Marvel's decision to include the Time Variance Authority, a move he described as the best idea that anybody had pertaining to the series. Feige and Loki executive had hoped to find a place for the TVA, an organization that debuted in 1986's Thor issue 372 and has appeared in She-Hulk and Fantastic Four stories in the MCU for years. But the right opportunity never presented itself until Loki came along. Putting Loki into his own procedural series became the eureka moment for the show, is what Kevin Feige said. It says the TVA's perspective on time and reality also tied into the themes that Waldron, Loki's head writer, was hoping to explore. Loki is a character that's always reckoning with his own identity, and the TVA, by virtue of what they do, is uniquely suited to hold up a mirror to Loki and make him really confront who he is and who he was supposed to be, is what Michael Waldron says. But Tom Hiddleston also adds that was very exciting because in the other films, there was always something about Loki that was very controlled. He seemed to know exactly what the cards in his hands were and how he was going to play them. And Loki versus the TVA is Loki out of control immediately and in an environment in which he's completely behind the pace and out of his comfort zone, destabilized and acting out. And then it says to truly dig into, oh, never mind. I won't go into there just yet. But I do like this aspect here because it does kind of allow us to understand a little bit better who the Loki character is, right? One of those things that we've always brought up, Stuart, is Loki always has a plan. Right. He always seems to be one step ahead, maybe two steps ahead of somebody else. If something doesn't go his way, he also always has like an alternative route that he can certainly go. But now it definitely seems as though Loki is in a position where it's very much uncertain for him afterwards, that the TVA seemingly has maybe more control over the situation than maybe even Loki knows. So for me, I think when I go into this series, because of the fact that he's the god of mischief, I'm going to have a great time, I think, watching not only the pushback that he gives the TVA, but really his attempt to probably still outthwart the TVA, despite them probably still being one step ahead. So I'm really eager to see just this game that they wind up playing with each other here.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, I could see Loki kind of thinking he's always ahead of everyone because he's literally a god. So theoretically, there shouldn't be anything that goes on in the galaxy without him knowing. So the idea of this, whole bureau that's there just to protect time and him being like a part of this thing that he himself didn't even know existed, I feel like, that could definitely make him feel very much like he's not in control in the way that he wants to. But of course, knowing the way that Tom Hiddleston plays the role, we're never going to see him ever show weakness or fear in his face, because of course he's always going to act like he's on top of everything. And that's part of what makes Loki's character so unique, is even when he knows he's screwed, he still kind of goes along with it with full confidence.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think that's certainly an enjoyable aspect of his character for sure. And then we have one more aspect of this article I want to go ahead and bring up to you guys.
Actually, before we get to that, I do want to talk about one more thing about this that gets me excited. I love the concept of time cops in general. It's, to me, one of the most kind of creative things, and I don't see that many movies going with it. It's really something that's only been explored in really older, cheesy 80s and 90s sci-fi films. But it is something that I've always thought was very much a unique premise. So I love the fact that we're going to be getting this within the Marvel universe,
For some reason, when you said time cops, the first thing that came to my mind were the vegan cops from Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where they come and bust Brandon Ralph for drinking milk or something like that, like for busting him for being a vegan, but breaking his thing. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, time cops are always fun, honestly. It actually makes me want to go back and rewatch Time Cop now that you mentioned that, Stuart.
Mm-hmm. And Trancers, that's another real good one.
Yes, that is another good one. All right, guys, let's go ahead and finish off this review or preview for you guys. But this one says everyone involved is particularly excited for audiences to see Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson's on-screen chemistry. Mobius is not unlike Owen Wilson in that he's sort of nonplussed by the MCU. He says Loki is used to getting a reaction out of people, whether it's his brother or his father or the other Avengers. He likes to be very flamboyant and theatrical. Mobius doesn't give him the reaction he's looking for. That leads to a very unique relationship that Loki's not used to. As for the rest of the series, we know that Loki will be jumping around time and reality, but the creative team isn't keen on revealing when and where. Every episode, we try to take inspiration from different things, says Waldron, citing Blade Runner's noir aesthetic as one example. Part of the fun of the multiverse and playing with time is seeing other versions of characters and other versions of the character in particular. Kevin Feige, who also declined to confirm if Loki ties into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and or other upcoming projects. So they definitely tease the idea right here, Stuart, that there certainly will be different variations of maybe some characters that we certainly have come to know and love over these past 10 years in the MCU, and then also just the chemistry between Owen Wilson along with Loki. Which again, guys, if you haven't had that opportunity to check out the official clip from Loki that's been presented already, it does have Agent Mobius and Loki interacting with one another, so you can go ahead and actually just see what their chemistry certainly is like. And this probably answers one of Kaya's questions in here. Is there any news on Avengers or Thor movie actors appearing? I feel like this kind of leaves it pretty open in regards to that. Wouldn't you say, Stuart?
Yeah, like I think the reason Kevin Feige didn't comment on it is kind of the same thing. Same reason like no one ever commented on whether or not Doctor Strange would for sure make an appearance in WandaVision. It kind of feels like they're really letting the show, or they're really kind of waiting for the audience reactions before making like final decisions, because from what I understand, they did have a scene with Doctor Strange in WandaVision, and I think it would have been used there. Like if like let's say the first two episodes were not received as well as it was, they may have done that kind of like as a reaction to get ratings back up. And so it might be the same thing with the Loki series. They maybe have a few deleted scenes that include like other Avengers actors making a cameo. They're just not going to use it if the show has a really good reception for its first two episodes.
Yeah, I would be interested to see like if it's actually Loki himself maybe turning and using his shape-shifting abilities to turn into characters that we already know, or if he's actually going to come across different versions of some of the Avengers, or maybe even some of the Asgardians that we've certainly seen over the years, sort of thing. So that alone really gets me excited. But I'm a huge fan also of Owen Wilson. The guy makes me laugh all the time. One of my favorite movies of Owen Wilson is Wedding Crashers. So like just the range that Owen Wilson has in regards to his comedy, how he presents himself and stuff, just in some of the official clips that I've seen, I think him and Tom Hiddleston are going to work incredibly well together. So I'm really eager to see what they do on screen, honestly.
They're going to work so well that after this show comes out, you're going to have so many comedic directors approaching them, asking them if they want to do like a buddy like movie or something like that.
Yeah, a little buddy cop movie with Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Like a buddy cop movie, or just like kind of a buddy movie in general, like just a movie where the two of them as main characters.
Yeah, and for me, I would be interested to see if Owen Wilson's Agent Mobius plays a bigger role after this particular television series at some particular point in time. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. But that, again, is from the Entertainment Weekly article that interviews Tom Hiddleston. They definitely go deep into not only the Loki character, but also talking about the MCU and things like that. So I would certainly go ahead and recommend you guys certainly check it out for yourselves. Again, it is also on our main Facebook page for you guys to go ahead and give it a read if you'd like. Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and get us hyped also and get you guys hyped for the upcoming Loki series. Again, that's going to be premiering June 9th, which I believe is a Wednesday now. We're so used to getting these shows on Fridays. Let me go ahead and pull up my calendar here. What did I say, June 9th, Stuart? Yeah, that's
yes.
Yeah, that's going to be on a Wednesday, guys. So definitely mark your calendars, DVRs, whatever you got to do. Yeah, I think you guys would be excited for it. So are you eager for the series, Stuart? Is this like your main, like your most anticipated MCU series on Disney Plus, or where does it fall for you?
Definitely not my most anticipated, but it's definitely one that I wasn't originally super hyped for. But like the more I hear about it, the more I hear about what they're doing, what aspects of the MCU that they're exploring, the more excited that I'm getting. And I think it is going to be something very unique. But that said, probably not the most anticipated MCU show that I'm looking forward to, but it is still definitely one that I'm going to be tuning in for every Wednesday.
Yeah, I think if anything, I'm in that same category. Like going into this, like when I was first announced, again, not my most anticipated, but the more that I see of it, the more that I hear of it, it really is getting me excited. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is probably like the most, I don't want to say under the radar series so far. That might have actually been WandaVision. And I think that nobody really knew what to expect from it, but really just knocked us on our ass, if you will. I feel like Loki might have that same effect in regards to maybe we're just not fully ready for this. And it also gives me hope because Michael Waldron, I believe it's Kevin Feige, tapped this guy to also write his Star Wars movie that we hopefully will be getting in the next few years. So this is almost like a prerequisite course for Michael Waldron here. Like I'm going to be really grading this guy on this series to see what he can certainly bring to Star Wars. So I'm excited all around. And anytime it's Tom Hiddleston getting to play Loki again, sign me up, man. Sign me up. You can't lose.
So, yeah, definitely.
So, guys, let us know your levels of enthusiasm when it comes to Loki. Are you hyped? Are you not that excited? We definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts in regards to this article. So let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And before we move on, just real quick shout out to AJ. I believe AJ, where'd you go, AJ? Yeah, he's here. He's here also. So thank you very much for certainly joining us today, man. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We'll dive a little bit into the world of movies and Star Wars for you guys as of right now. But let's go on to our next topic, which will in fact be in the realm of movies. And good old Superman himself, Henry Cavill, is back in the news. Unfortunately, not for a brand new DC film. Unfortunately, we'll have to put that one for later, hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed. But Henry Cavill continues to just win fans over. I mean, if it's not Superman, it's The Witcher, it's Mission Impossible. I mean, this guy's doing anything that he possibly can. Making computers, putting computers together, shirtless for the ladies and the nerds out there. You know what I'm saying? Henry Cavill's doing it all these days. But this week, Deadline is actually reporting that Henry Cavill is set to go ahead and tackle I don't want to say a brand new franchise, but another franchise that is rather well known to us in the geekdom, if you will. And that is, in fact, in the realm of Highlander, Stuart. Highlander. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about Highlander? It's been years, honestly. But it looks like the movie is in fact back on. And when you got somebody attached like Henry Cavill, it's probably a lot of anticipation, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and bring this up and talk about this a little bit. This comes to us from Deadline.com. Henry Cavill to star in Lionsgate Highlander reboot, but coming from Chad Stahelski. That name might sound familiar to some people, as he is in fact the director to John Wick. That's right, guys. So we've got Chad Stahelski and Henry Cavill teaming up here. So this is an exclusive report from Deadline. In the world of the Highlander film, there can only be one, and Henry Cavill has his eyes on the title. Sources tell Deadline that the Man of Steel star is in talks for one of the lead roles in Lionsgate reboot of Highlander, with John Wick director Chad Stahelski helming. They also got Carey Williamson, who penned the script for this movie as well. It says the original 1986 Highlander pick starred Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown as immortal beings hunting down one another and collecting more power. The film, with its there can only be one catchphrase spawned 4 sequels and 3 television series, including the popular USA series starring Adrian Paul. The plot of this latest take is unknown, as in whether Cavill will be playing a brand new character to the universe or a character from previous projects. The reboot has been gestating for a while, with everyone from Ryan Reynolds to Justin Lin involved at some point, but sources say this latest piece coming together puts this film into position to get into production. And yeah, when you got Henry Cavill tapped to do anything, that would definitely make me immediately put this into production as well. So, Stuart, let me ask you first and foremost, have you personally had the opportunity to watch a Highlander movie or a Highlander series of your own? Are you familiar with the franchise or no?
I've seen quite a few, but like I've never like watched them all really in order. They all just to me feel like they almost have like a completely different continuity to them every time I watch a different one. Because like I swear the second movie contradicts the first film, and then the third movie just it's a sequel to the first film, but it completely ignores the second one. And then you had then I also saw Highlander: The Source, which I thought was an all right film. But again, it just kind of suffered from like I feel like if any series needs a reboot, it's the Highlander series, because it's just never had good continuity throughout any of its sequels. So I think now that the idea of them starting the movie franchise over, but actually having an idea of where sequels would go and actually having an idea of the lore that you set out within your film, instead of like changing your mind every sequel, I think this would be the perfect movie to do that with.
So it feels like the Terminator conundrum, like every sequel afterwards just has terrible continuity to whatever came before, type of thing. Me and the girlfriend actually just watched, or I didn't get a chance to finish it yesterday, but we did go back and watch the original Highlander. If you guys are interested in checking out the Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery version, the very first Highlander, it is on Amazon Prime for you guys to go ahead and check it out. But when you tell me Henry Cavill's going to be in this, I almost feel like this is a perfect franchise for him, especially based off of him just coming off of Witcher, which is a big sort of sci-fi fantasy, if you will, with the swords and the magic and everything like that. It's like right up Henry Cavill. I mean, this guy is chiseled to be in a Highlander movie at some point in time, and with his sword play that we've already seen from The Witcher, this definitely feels just sort of right up his alley. While I didn't necessarily grow up with the Highlander movies themselves, I actually did grow up during the time that the USA series was certainly on, and that was pretty popular back in the day. So certainly watched a lot of that as well. But getting the opportunity to see Henry Cavill in here, I think this is a great move for him, based off of the fact that we don't have a lot of news from him surrounding Man of Steel or any Superman news or anything like that. So this is Henry Cavill just continuing along with his career and really landing himself some great spots, and to be leads of some really big franchises that might have died off just sort of years ago. So I do think this is a great opportunity to go ahead and bring Highlander back to the forefront. And who knows, maybe after this success, maybe we end up getting ourselves another Highlander television series at some particular point in time, because the idea of there can only be one is a really great concept of just immortals through time, like taking each other out, if you will, until you come up to like this grandiose battle where there can only truly be one. Just trying to see what they wind up doing in the original film. I think even in today's concept, while we don't know who Henry Cavill is going to play, whether he's going to be playing the Christopher Lambert character, maybe it's going to be a brand new character, who certainly knows. I do think this is a perfect time to go ahead and reboot this franchise, though.
I think if he's playing the same character as the original Highlander, I think he'd be perfect for that role, because just his mannerisms just feel so much in line with the original guy. I feel like Henry Cavill was kind of the perfect actor to pick for this type of thing, especially because he's got experience doing, both the fantasy style of sword fighting, and, he was also in the Mission Impossible movie. So, if we're doing like the two different timelines like we did in the original, you can get both. You can have the cool fantasy elements, but then you can also have kind of the modern sci-fi elements as well, because he can do action both ways with that. Man, just thinking about it makes me so hyped for this, especially with it being the John Wick director.
Yeah, and I mean, just action-wise alone, I mean, just going back and watching the original one, I definitely will agree with you. Like the idea of having two different timelines for Henry Cavill to kind of play in, I think will be really fun, especially for a more modern take on this movie. It does make me curious as to who the rest of the cast is going to end up being, like who his opponents might end up being, who are the other immortals that they're going to wind up casting in here. But when you've got somebody that's as talented as Chad Stahelski from John Wick, I mean, when it comes to fight sequences especially, I mean, we've seen some of the most amazing stuff that he's been able to do in John Wick, and now you get to let him play with swords. Yes, please. I'm completely down for that.
Yes, definitely.
But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. You hear the news that Henry Cavill is going to be jumping onto another franchise in Highlander. Have you checked out any of the Highlander movies or series? Does the concept of immortals fighting so there can only be one when it comes to gigantic swords and things like that, does that excite you? I got to say, Stuart, you know what? One of the things that I don't want to say I completely forgot, but when the movie starts for Highlander, the fact that it hits you with that great Queen soundtrack, I didn't realize that Queen did the entire soundtrack for that movie. But if you guys have not checked out the Highlander theme, at least like that opening song by Queen, it gave me chills again, man. And the thing is like almost 40 years old.
Yeah, I always forget about that too. Man, Queen did like both Highlander and Flash Gordon, right?
Oh yeah, probably. I believe so. And it definitely has that 80s vibe, man, too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's just the music, the synthesized instruments, Queen just screaming at the time. I was like, we turned this on. I'm like, do we pick the right movie? Are we watching because I hadn't seen Highlander so long though. I only remember just the flashback sequences of Sean Connery training Christopher Lambert and their battles and things like that. So when the movie starts, I'm like, I had to check my phone again to make sure I was streaming the right movie. I was like, I couldn't remember Queen did the entire soundtrack for this.
Yep.
It was pretty amazing stuff. All right, guys. With that out of the way, we will be moving on to our next topic, but we definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in regards to this. Are you hyped for Henry Cavill joining Highlander? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. All right, Stuart. And before we move on to our next topic, I got to do something. I meant to do this at the top of the show, honestly, but I didn't get the opportunity to do it, Stuart. But I'm glad that AJ wound up bringing this up. AJ in the chat says, how do you guys feel about Black Lightning ending tomorrow? We are extremely bummed about Black Lightning ending tomorrow, but we wanted to do something special today because we are coming to the conclusion, unfortunately, of Black Lightning, a series that, if you ask me, is taken away from us too soon, Stuart. I feel like a lot of things these days are taken away too soon. But this is almost a travesty in my eyes. I'm really hoping to keep my fingers crossed for a Painkiller pickup. But in loving memory of Black Lightning departing us, we wanted to give Black Lightning a 10-bell salute, guys, to say farewell to this season. We definitely will be bringing you the final review for you guys tomorrow. So definitely keep an eye out on that, or maybe dropping sometime Tuesday morning for you guys. But in loving memory, we wanted to give Black Lightning a 10-bell salute. So take a moment of quiet, if you will, moment of peace. Bow your heads, if you will, and join us for this 10-bell salute. And we'll be right back, guys. Gone way too soon, Stuart, if you ask me, man. Way too soon. What are your thoughts, man, in regards to Black Lightning being taken off the air?
I'm going to miss the show. It feels like they had so much that they could have really kept the show going for a couple more seasons if they wanted to. So I'm really sad to see it go. But I think I mentioned this to you yesterday on Facebook. I have a prediction with the ending because of the most recent trailer. They show Black Lightning in a grave that's buried underground. And so my thought is, oh my gosh, how poetic would it be if Gravedigger was the one to save him?
You did say that. You did mention that.
Yeah.
You're like, I think Gravedigger is gonna gonna save Black Lightning. That would be pretty trippy. I have wanted to see Wayne Brady in this season. I think he was hopefully trying to push to make a return this season. So whether or not Salim Akil actually pulled the trigger on it, that I certainly don't know. But it would be great to see Gravedigger come back certainly one more time. But we'll definitely have to see as of tomorrow. The preview alone looks epic for Black Lightning, but a part of me is kind of hoping that, again, while we haven't heard anything from WB or the CW to kind of explain why Black Lightning is being sort of taken off the air, a part of me would love to get an explanation. Like, was it ratings? Because I don't even necessarily know. I feel like Black Lightning probably couldn't have had the worst ratings out of all the DC television shows. I feel like there's probably other television shows that have had worse ratings than Black Lightning. So a part of me is kind of hoping that maybe this has been a part of Salim Akil's plan, that maybe this is the amount of seasons that he's wanted to tell the Black Lightning story and then continue it into another series like Painkiller. But nobody's come out and said anything in regards to why it's being taken off the air. And I honestly would really love an explanation, because based off of the last episode of Legends of Tomorrow that you talked about, Stuart, you're not the only person that thought that was like the worst episode they had ever seen. So it continues to make me scratch my head a little bit as to why other seasons continue to get 6 or 7, but Black Lightning can't get past 4. Because I agree with you that I feel like we can at least get to a 6th season of Black Lightning, especially based off of how consistent it's been.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, it's the most consistent of all the DC CW shows, because now we've had, even if the season finale sucks, we've still had 4 seasons and all of them are consistently really good. So, in a way, I think that would make it like the best DC show like on the CW currently, because even though I'd say that with Arrow definitely has episodes that I think are like amazing and I'd say are some of my favorites. But the thing is, Arrow has also had some really terrible seasons too. Like Arrow season 4 is straight up one of the worst written shows ever. And that's never happened. There was never that dip with Black Lightning. It's always just been kind of it's been going forward. And then, it even peaked a lot for me during season 3, because I thought that season was like amazing. And then I guess maybe the closest thing to a dip is that season 4 hasn't been as good as season 3, but it's still good. So yeah, it does suck that it's ending, but at the same time, I'm hoping it's because a mixture of like maybe they wanted to end the show because that this is just what their plan was, or it might have been a mixture of that, or the actors just not being interested anymore. I just don't want to find out it was because the CW didn't want it on anymore, because I'd be really surprised if the ratings were bad for the show, because they're does seem to be quite a big fan base. I mean, your reviews for it tend to be like one of our biggest viewed videos on the channel. So, there's got to be a huge fan base for it.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I've even heard some comments on some of the reviews that we've done of like there not being a lot of Black Lightning reviewers out there or something like that. I haven't really had the chance to check the, what the YouTube situation looks like for Black Lightning reviewers, but I have heard that before. So it is a little bit of a shame, honestly. And I agree with you. I'm hoping it's not because the CW wanted to cancel it. I'm hoping this was part of their plan, but we'll see. Maybe in time we'll get the truth, guys. But listen, we want to know your guys' thoughts in regards to the departure of Black Lightning. Again, the last episode winds up airing tomorrow evening, and then you can definitely expect our review to go ahead and drop on Tuesday for you guys. So definitely go ahead and look out for that. But Stuart, we're going to go ahead and go into our next topic here. We're going to go ahead and change gears. We will be back to a ton of DC news, so definitely don't worry about that. But I wanted to go ahead and change topics into some Star Wars news. Stuart, I thought this would be great for you and I to go ahead and talk a little bit about, because there was some news this week that wound up dropping in regards to Dave Filoni getting himself a little bit of a promotion, if you will. Over the years, guys, especially after the sequel trilogy that Disney wind up dropping for us, it definitely has been a mixed bag for Star Wars fans. I've definitely felt like the Star Wars community has certainly been divided, if you will, over the past few years, certainly coming back together with shows like The Mandalorian for sure, definitely bringing Star Wars fans back into that positivity, if you will. But it definitely was a rocky going for Disney Plus when it comes to its past films. And one of the things that people have been asking for is people like Jon Favreau and even Dave Filoni to have bigger roles in Lucasfilm, if you will, to maybe help them, just helm them in the right direction for Star Wars fans, for some of those who haven't necessarily been thrilled with the work that Kathleen Kennedy has certainly done. So this week, guys, you might have gotten exactly what you certainly asked for. So let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart, because Dave Filoni certainly has gotten a promotion, one that he got last year, but we're actually just now coming across it as of this past week. So let's go ahead and bring this down. This actually comes to us from StarWarsNewsNet.com, a great source for your Star Wars information if you'd like. But it says Dave Filoni has been an executive creative director at Lucasfilm since last summer, Stuart, since last summer. It says Lucasfilm recently updated their website with its current executive hierarchy, but that does not mean those involved just earn their current roles. Star Wars fans, social media accounts, and blogs lit up the internet today because someone noticed the change of the studio's website. But it turns out Dave Filoni has been executive creator director at Lucasfilm since last summer. And to clear up any confusion, he is one of several people in that title, including Doug Chang and John Knoll, who's actually been with the company for quite some time. It says, we reached out to Lucasfilm publicly for clarification and details on this and are awaiting a response, as we were surprised Filoni would receive such a promotion without a press release, considering he is universally loved by fans, and it would be a no-brainer public relations win for the company. Now it is clear why there wasn't one. He's been on the role for almost a year. And this is what Adam Berry of Variety tweeted, that a representative confirmed that Filoni has held this position since last summer and that the website just hadn't been updated. So yeah, there we go. He's officially been moved up to executive creative director. And I think this is a great position for him to certainly be in, Stuart, if you ask me. When it comes to Dave Filoni, this guy himself literally has been sort of the protege, if you will, of George Lucas himself. He came up with George Lucas for years, studied right under him. Him and George worked on the Clone Wars series for years. So if there is anybody that knows the brain of George Lucas and knows his purpose of what George had in mind for Star Wars and things like that, it definitely is Dave Filoni. And some of his work has certainly made Dave Filoni recognizable amongst the fans, whether that be from Clone Wars, whether that be his time on Rebels, maybe some of the episodes in The Mandalorian that he's tapped into. And especially, Stuart, when you go back and you watch some of the behind the scenes footage of The Mandalorian and the making of it, you really get to see Dave Filoni shine and just his knowledge of Star Wars, how helpful he's been to the cast and crew when it comes to understanding their own characters a little bit better and getting a better insight into the lore and the world that they're sort of playing in. So fans over the years have always wanted Dave Filoni to have a much bigger role than he certainly wants to. Now, some people have always tried to push Dave Filoni into that Kathleen Kennedy role, right? The overseer of everything Lucasfilm, which seems maybe a little bit too ahead for Dave Filoni. I mean, this guy's literally just dabbling in live action directing for the very first time. So not to say Dave Filoni can't get there, but we're still very much early on into his career, if you will. So I think this news is fantastic for Dave Filoni and for us fans, because for me, when I read this, Stuart, while this certainly still feels very much like there is a hierarchy here, right? Kathleen Kennedy is still there, guys, as the leader of Lucasfilm. She's still going to make the decisions at the end of the day, but the people under her now probably include John Knoll and Dave Filoni in regards to the creative direction in which the Star Wars franchise is certainly going to be going in the future. And I think this is a great move, one, because of the fact, while I love Kathleen Kennedy as a producer, you guys can look at her IMDb and just all the amazing content that she's helped produce over the years. One of the weaknesses, I think, of Kathleen Kennedy is that sort of creative side of things, that understanding of Star Wars. So to be mindful of the idea of, you know what, while our Disney sequels certainly made us money, maybe there are some directions that we went that probably could have been a little bit better. And so I think the idea of recognizing where you faltered, making changes, promoting people that know exactly what they're doing in certain departments. This continues to show me that Disney and Lucasfilm are learning from their past mistakes, and implementing somebody like Dave Filoni at the top in regards to a creative director, I think is brilliant for the series. And I'm really hoping that this allows them to really bring back in some of the fans that maybe they certainly lost by knowing that they've given Dave Filoni this promotion. But Stuart, let me ask you, it feels weird to me that based off of how many people have always asked for Dave Filoni to have a bigger role, that Lucasfilm wouldn't reveal something like this. Why do you think that is? And what is your thoughts in general of just Dave Filoni now having this promotion?
I mean, maybe it's just partially because Dave Filoni himself didn't want it to be announced, because he probably, knows a lot of other Star Wars fans. And, you got to imagine, like, when you're a Star Wars fan, but you're also like in charge with a lot of Star Wars content, you probably get like a lot of people like being like, oh man, this is what you should do for the next story. And then this is what you should do for the next story. And so it's constantly like, the more people that throw you their ideas, that's more ideas that you now can't use because, so I feel like if he were to announce his position, he would just be getting a lot more of that from, people that know him personally, because they would just assume that because he's, executive producer, he can magically make any fan fiction come true, essentially. So I feel like that's probably why he would want that to be like kind of an under the radar knowledge, if that makes sense. Like, not that he's hiding it, he's just not advertising it. So I guess that would probably be why. As for his current position where he's at, my thoughts on it, I think it's the perfect position for him. I don't want him taking Kathleen Kennedy's spot. Now, not because I don't think he'd do a great job. I'm sure he would. But my whole thing is that the higher up you go and that kind of a thing, the less involved you're allowed to be when it comes to the actual writing process of everything. And he's such a great writer when it comes to Star Wars. I don't want him to be taken off of that for upcoming projects. Like, I would love him to have that position where he's kind of that good in between. Like, his voice still goes into the writing of the shows that'll be coming up in the future, but he still has a lot of authority too. Even though he answers to someone else, there's still a lot of authority to his word. And, I think he's the kind of guy that would also just as, he knows how to work with other writers that have their own really good ideas, and he knows how to work with those and implement them so they can all flow together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. For me, I'm really eager to see just what he's going to do, especially when it comes to more the live action aspect of things, especially when it comes to working like on the movies, especially, with him being in this role, I would assume now that kind of puts him, like you mentioned, in a much better position to kind of help guide some of these upcoming movies that we're going to be getting, making sure that whoever's writing that is kind of staying in that particular lane of Star Wars, maybe not contradicting other things that have happened in the past from other movies or animated series that they're certainly continuing to develop. So I do think that this is a great opportunity for Dave Filoni to really help get Star Wars back on track, especially from just a storytelling and a creative aspect. So I think this is a great promotion from him. I also think maybe one of the reasons why, well, I definitely would agree with you, Stuart, about maybe one of the reasons why they haven't made this announcement. I also wonder if they just didn't want to open up the can of worms that is just Kathleen Kennedy, and how there seems to be I feel like, especially on YouTube, just a lot of hatred towards Kathleen Kennedy and wanting to see her out of that position. I think maybe the idea of not releasing this news is a way to kind of keep some of that quiet and down, so you don't have people coming out. See, I told you Kathleen Kennedy was going to lose her spot, even though she certainly hasn't, right? Like she's still at the top, but maybe they just didn't want people to come in. Why didn't you fire Kathleen and put Dave Filoni in that position? So I am wondering if there's maybe a little bit of something of that behind it. But I do think if you want to keep a top tier producer in Kathleen Kennedy as head of Lucasfilm, but still give somebody that knows the franchise and Dave Filoni more, allowing him to be able to make more creative decisions and help guide the franchise, I think this is a win-win for everybody, honestly. So we'll see how it develops, guys. We'll see how it develops further. Any last comments in regards to that, Stuart, or what?
Yeah, no, just that I'm really excited about it. For me, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy has made the best decisions when it comes to Star Wars. There are definitely times where I disagree with a lot of changes that she's made. Like, I still wish that we had the original version for the Solo film, for example, before Lloyd and Miller got fired and replaced by I forgot the other director that took over. But
Ron Howard?
part of me, Ron Howard, that's right. Part of me still wants to see what the original version of Solo would have looked like. So things like that. But with that being said, she has also made a lot of really good decisions too. The idea of having Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni working together to make the live action Mandalorian series, people seem to throw that under the rug and act like that was just a miracle. It's like, no, someone had to make that decision. Guess who that someone was? Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, she definitely has a significant role to continue to play here. But congrats to Dave Filoni on the promotion. It only took them a whole year to actually announce it, or not even announce, but we had to fans had to find out about it on their own. So congrats to Dave Filoni, and I hope this is just marks great things for the franchise going forward. All right, Stuart, let's with that out of the way, guys, we want to know your thoughts. How excited are you of Dave Filoni having this promotion? What do you think he's certainly going to go ahead and bring to the franchise now? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart. And with that out of the way, we will continue to move on with our next topic as we transition a little bit over to Netflix as they continue to announce not only original series, but they have announced an original series months ago that we actually talked a little bit about on here, Stuart. And that is, in fact, the Wednesday Addams live action series that we're certainly going to be getting from the mind of Tim Burton himself. Now, I was super thrilled to kind of hear this, especially coming from somebody like a Tim Burton, to go ahead and work on another Addams Family franchise or property, if you will. And Wednesday Addams, growing up as a kid, was always one of my favorite characters from the film, played originally by Christina Ricci, who I'm absolutely in love with. So to be able to see Wednesday Addams being brought to the small screen, I think is another fantastic decision. But the big question really has been, now that we're getting the series, who in fact is going to be playing Wednesday Addams and taking on that role? And we finally have our casting announced, Stuart. This comes to us from comingsoon.net that lets us know that Gina Ortega has officially been cast as Wednesday Addams in Tim Burton's live action series, ladies and gentlemen. And this is, in fact, Jenna Ortega. It says it has been 3 months since the development of Tim Burton's new Addams Family series, Wednesday, was confirmed. And now Netflix has announced that the live action project has finally found its leading star. Rising actress Gina Ortega has officially been tapped to portray the role of Wednesday Addams, a character created by cartoonist Charles Addams in 1938. This marks the 18-year-old actress's latest collaboration with Netflix after she starred in films such as The Babysitter, Killer Queen, and Yes Day, as well as in shows like You Season 2 and Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous. It says the fan favorite character was famously portrayed by Christina Ricci in 1991's Addams Family and 1993 Addams Family Values. Her most recent iteration was in the 2019 animated film, which was voiced by Chloe Grace Moretz, who will again reprise Wednesday in an upcoming sequel. And this was released by Netflix on their Twitter account, saying that Jenna Ortega will play the iconic Wednesday Addams, as we see Jenna with the script for Chapter 1 of Wednesday. So, Stuart, let me ask you, are you familiar with Jenna Ortega's work in any of her previous series that she's been in or movies over on Netflix? And if so, or even if you haven't, what are your thoughts about Jenna Ortega, at least them finding somebody to go ahead and play Wednesday Addams?
Given that she seems to have done like a lot of Disney movies and shows, so I haven't really seen anything that she's been in except for Iron Man 3 when she played the president's daughter.
Had to be brief, huh?
Yeah,
Like
so it was very
cameo?
brief. So she wasn't like a big role in it. But yeah, basically that's kind of all I know her from. But I'll say this though, looking at her photo on IMDb, I think she looks the role, like really, really nails like just the look. So I think that alone is something that I think they did a really good job with. in terms of like playing Wednesday Addams, especially if they like go with her kind of the hair that she has currently on her profile picture on IMDb. I think that she'll pull it off really good in terms of look. Acting wise, I can't really have an opinion there because I haven't like I said, I haven't seen her in anything. However, she is going to be in an upcoming, I don't know if this is a sequel or a reboot, but there is an upcoming Scream movie that I guess is coming out next year, and she's apparently going to be starring in that. So I guess we'll have I guess that'll be two things I'll be watching her in, so I can have an opinion on her performances for later projects that she might do in the future.
For Scream, was that Naomi Campbell? Was that who the lead actress was for Scream, the first one?
Oh, for the first one. I honestly
can't remember her name off the top. I am kind of curious if Jenna Ortega is going to be taking over that role, if they're going to be rebooting it. For me, I'm not, honestly, same with you, Stuart. I'm honestly not super familiar when it comes to Jenna Ortega, but I will agree with you in the sense that when I look at her just visually, I think to myself, yeah, she can easily pull this off. I mean, some makeup. Outside of the makeup, I think she could still just pull this off perfectly, honestly. So I'm not exactly sure just how great her acting is. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to go ahead and check out some of the Netflix stuff that she actually has done to get a better understanding. But listen, I'm sure Tim Burton probably had a lot to do with maybe the casting choices in here, giving the big thumbs up as to what actress he certainly wants to work with her. And if she is a blossoming new sort of actress that a lot of people are trying to grab her for, then I'm assuming if anything, she definitely is talented enough to go ahead and pull this off. So, but visually, yeah, she certainly looks the part. We'll see exactly how she does when it comes to performing when we get to that particular point in time. This comes from us from Edward Sanchez. He says she was on the Disney Channel show Stuck in the Middle with the yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger. Oh, that's cool, Edward. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Maybe that's something else that we'll try and check her out in. Also, Disney Channel show Stuck in the Middle, guys. So if you're interested in checking out what Jenna Ortega could possibly bring as Wednesday Addams. So I'm excited for this, Stuart. Like the idea of Wednesday Addams, Tim Burton, live action. It's a little bit of everything that I would want from another Addams Family project, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With Tim Burton being behind it, I feel like he knows how to look. He knows what to look for in actors and exactly what kind of performance to get out of them. So I figure if Tim Burton had anything to do with the casting as well, which I'm sure he did because he usually does when it comes to directing his own projects, I'm sure she's going to do a great job.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So congratulations to Jenna Ortega. We definitely look forward to seeing what else you're going to go ahead and bring to the series. All right, Stuart, with that, we will transition now into some DC talk for you guys today. We got a ton of DC topics to go ahead and talk about. And the first one up is going to be in regards to HBO Max's upcoming series, Green Lantern, guys. That's right. Just last week or the week before, if I'm not mistaken, we just talked about the idea of Finn Wittrock, I believe his name is, getting the opportunity to play Guy Gardner in the upcoming Green Lantern series for HBO Max. One of the things that we were speculating, Stuart, was who's the next Green Lantern do we think that they're going to actually be casting for? And we said Alan Scott, and Alan Scott is up to bat, ladies and gentlemen. So let's find out exactly who's going to be playing this original Green Lantern character. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that when it comes to Green Lantern, Jeremy Irvine is currently in talks to join HBO Max's series as the gay hero in Alan Scott. It says the character is one of many lanterns featured in the series. Stuart, when I see Jeremy Irvine in this photo, this is a young Alan Scott. I mean, he looks exactly like him, honestly. I could easily see him portraying this character. It says HBO Max's Green Lantern has zeroed in on an actor to play Alan Scott with Jeremy Irvine, who led the Bourne TV spinoff, Treadstone, in talks for the role of the comic book hero. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Alan Scott, it says Alan Scott is one of the higher profile gay characters in the DC universe, although that is only a relatively recent development. He was created in 1940 with his ring being magical in nature. When Green Lantern was redeveloped in the 1960s, it was against the sci-fi backdrop, and the hero, Hal Jordan, was a test pilot in the atomic age. Eventually, Scott was reintroduced as a lantern from a parallel Earth and in the 2000s. With the flourishing of the multiverse concept, he was reconceived as gay, leading a more inclusive movement at the publisher. And then it goes on to talk a little bit. It says Irving has made his feature debut in 2011, starring in Steven Spielberg's adaptation of War Horse. The English actor played a young Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and appeared in other dramas as well. The HBO series stars Finn Wittrock as Guy Gardner, one of the many Lanterns expected to appear in the big budget series from executive producers Greg Berlanti and Warner Brothers. So Jeremy Irvine, I'm getting the opportunity to play Alan Scott in here. And, you know, Stuart, when I think of Alan Scott, my mind usually goes to an older Alan Scott, usually, you know, well into his days as the Justice Society of America, the older man still carrying around his Green Lantern, you know, that he still charges his ring with and stuff. I've always seen him sort of as the oldest of the Green Lanterns. But I love the idea here that because of the fact that this series is going to be taking place over a multitude of different decades, this really does give us the opportunity to see sort of Alan Scott in his prime as a young man, if you will. And I'm really eager to see what kind of adventures they focus on in here. And I'm telling you, Stuart, I'm still leaning on the idea that there is maybe, I'm wondering if it's going to be one singular threat that is going to be maybe the thread that connects all these sort of decades and maybe similar, you know, all these Green Lanterns together. So I really want to see what it is that Alan Scott's going to be up against. And I really want to see how Jeremy Irvine plays this character in Alan Scott as well. Because I feel like one of the characteristics, especially if you're making him a gay superhero, if you will, I do want to see, especially back in the 40s, if that's going to be a concept that they tackle and maybe an interpersonal struggle that they have of Alan Scott and the idea of maybe not fully being able to be himself or being able to come outright with who he is as a person and an individual. So I really want to see what they tap into when it comes to the Alan Scott. But you know, while I'm not familiar with Jeremy Irvine's work, he certainly looks like a young Alan Scott, and I'm really eager to see what they do with him. But you hear this news, Stuart. What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I think what's really cool is the fact that we're going to be tackling different time periods within this series, and I do hope that that's actually one of the things that they explore. You know, the idea of him being gay in the 40s. You know, we kind of got that in Doom Patrol with Larry Trainor, and I would love to see something like that with Alan Scott as well. That'd be pretty cool. And then I'm also kind of curious though. So like with the so many different Green Lanterns being in this series and each of them taking place like kind of at different time periods. My question is then, are we going to be getting him continuing to play Alan Scott like with old makeup on or, you know, old man type of makeup on, or are they going to have another person playing like Alan Scott, but like kind of an older version of him within the same series? That's what I'm kind of curious about too.
So are you under the impression that at some point in time, all these Lanterns will be coming together in a more current timeline to face off against something?
I'm assuming that'll happen probably in the last like episode or two. Because I don't know, it just kind of seems weird if you're just having a series where you switch from one character to another, but there's no like connection other than the fact that they're all Green Lanterns. So I think it would be like more interesting if we do get to see like a full-on connection between all of them towards the end.
Yeah, I definitely would love to see some sort of connection between them as well. Like I said, I'm wondering if that connection is just the idea of one singular threat, maybe passing through the decades and giving them all their own storylines to focus on. Or it would be pretty cool too to kind of see maybe Alan Scott presented in a more current time period. So that would be interesting to see. Like, does Alan Scott really have two actors that are going to be playing him, or will it be Jeremy Irvine putting on the old makeup? I would be kind of curious. They're very hush hush. It if you will, when it comes
Mhm.
to the storyline, plot, and details for this series. But I think this is probably one of my more anticipated DC titles that are certainly coming. And that's not even talking about the Green Lantern movie that they eventually plan on making. You know, we're still waiting around for a Hal Jordan and John Stewart that WB is holding very close to the chest, if you will. So I got to ask Stewart, listen, Guy Gardner came first in his announcement. We called Alan Scott. Who do you think is going to be the next Green Lantern cast announcement in here?
Oh, they're definitely going to be casting Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, right? That's the other one. Yeah, cool. I think those are going to be the next two, and I'm assuming we're probably, if we're already hearing about Alan Scott and uh, Guy Gardner, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about the other two sometime in the next few weeks or so.
Yeah, I'm actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually release those castings together.
Mhm.
And the reason why I said is just based off of just what we've seen in comic books, that those two lanterns are very much well connected to each other in regards to how their stories have unfolded and have been told. I feel like if there is a new uh buddy cop sort of in the Green Lantern Corps, it probably is Simon and Jessica, just based off of their stories and how they've interacted. So if anything, I will agree with you. They're definitely going to be the next two, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually announced together. So
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to that. So we'll keep you guys apprised as to any other information that winds up developing. I'm pretty sure they probably already have them officially cast. They probably already know who's going to be playing these roles, and we're just simply waiting on that announcement. So love seeing just the idea of this show coming together and finding people to represent these characters. But we definitely will keep you guys up to date in regards to any Green Lantern information.
Diane Guerrero as Jessica Cruz, please.
I would be interested to see, like, can she balance? I don't want to say can she balance, but I would be interested to see if they would be willing to give Diane Guerrero another role in the DC universe, even though she's already on Doom Patrol. I personally would love to see her as Jessica Cruz. We don't know what's going to happen with Crazy Jane come season 3 of Doom Patrol. So we'll definitely have to see how that plays itself out.
Mhm.
But guys, we want to know your thoughts. Jeremy Irvine been cast to play Alan Scott. How thrilled are you to actually see this character in live action? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And I got to be honest, Stuart, the fact that we are getting an Alan Scott live action really excites me, because of the fact that I never thought that we would see a classic JSA member in that regards on this series. So the fact that we're getting it really excites me, and it makes me wonder if an Alan Scott will pop up in Stargirl, right? Because they're going to be introducing more JSA members as well in that series. Do you think we get maybe an older Alan Scott in there?
I feel like that'd be a really cool way to hype up the Green Lantern show, because
Mm.
we already got on the Arrowverse this season. Like, even though they've kind of confirmed we probably won't see David Ramsey as a Green Lantern, they're definitely not ignoring that cliffhanger. It's definitely going to be coming up. We just don't know how much of a part it's going to play in his upcoming roles in all 5 DC shows. So my thought is, if they were to like kind of hint at it there, and then also have us have a scene with Alan Scott and Stargirl, I think that'd be a perfect way to really hype up the Green Lantern series for people.
And I mean, wouldn't it even be cooler if the Alan Scott that we see in Stargirl is actually like just his storyline is maybe a continuation from what we've gotten in his adventures from the Green Lantern television series. I would be really interested to see how connected they are, or if they're still taking place in their own sort of multiverse, or their own different Earth, or whatever the case may be. So it should be fun to kind of see what DC does with this Green Lantern series. But guys, again, let us certainly know your thoughts in regards to Jeremy Irvine being cast as Alan Scott. So definitely let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, Stuart, we're going to go ahead and move on and tackle our next DC topic. And that is going to be in regards to the world of Batman, or I should certainly say Batgirl this time around. It's been a while since we've heard about development from Batgirl. Most recently, I believe we did get a recent release from DC about their upcoming movie slate that they were going to be working on, and Batgirl was certainly still attached. Even prior before that, we had somebody like a Josh Whedon that was originally set to actually be the writer for the Batgirl series, but then eventually fell off, saying he couldn't crack the story for Batgirl or whatever the case may be. But there might have been more to it, Stuart, especially based off of what we see Josh Whedon now in his career and everything that's happening with him. Probably not the best writer for Batgirl, to be honest with you. So I am glad to see that WB definitely did decide to go a different course. So while we certainly have a Batgirl writer, we now actually, Stuart, have ourselves a director for this movie. So let's go ahead and dive into this. This also comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that the Batgirl movie is set to be directed by Bad Boys for Life filmmakers, as they've been set to go ahead and direct the Batgirl movie. What you gonna do, Batgirl? What you gonna do when they come for you? Great job, Hollywood Reporter. It says the Batgirl movie project has found its directors, or rather, in this case, its directors. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falal, the duo behind the 2020 hit Bad Boys for Life, have closed the deal to steer Warner Brothers DC featured centering on Barbara Gordon, the daughter of Gotham City Police Commissioner James Gordon. Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and is in the Warner's fold with her screenwriting on Birds of Prey. She also did the upcoming Flash movie, penned the script for what is being planned for an HBO Max movie, Stuart. They also have Kristen Burr, who is gearing up for the release of Cruella this month, who is also producing. Barbara Gordon is the most established version of Batgirl character, who was initially introduced in 1961 as Betty Kane, but the character was revamped in 1967 with the television executives wanting to attract a female audience to the Batman TV series, then faltering in its third season. Yvonne Craig played the character whose last live action big screen appearance was with Alicia Silverstone in Joel Schumacher's 1997 movie Batman and Robin. That's pretty crazy to me that it's been that long since we've had a Batgirl in live action. It says, and this is what the producer says, it says, with Batgirl, we hope to take the audience on a fun ride and see a different side of Gotham, said Burr. Christina's script is crackling with spirit. Adil and Bilal have an excited and joyous energy, which is infectious, making them the perfect filmmakers for this Bat project. And I'm just psyched I get to be a part of the DC universe, which is super cool. So definitely some hype going on when it comes to WB executives ready for this Batgirl film. Again, Christina Hodson doing the writing and penning the script, and we've got Adil and Bilal as the directors in here, Stuart. So let me send this over to you. You hear this news of these two tackling a Batgirl movie that's set, mind you, not theatrically, but for HBO Max streaming service. What are your thoughts in regards to this news, sir?
My worry with it coming to HBO Max is that as good as it was to have that option for COVID, and while theaters were currently shut down, it worries me that they're still like kind of thinking of exclusively releasing high budget movies on streaming services, only because I feel like if anything, like there's already a lot of things that could like really hurt the theater industry. I feel like that is definitely going to be one of them. So I'm not a big fan of that decision, but we'll just have to wait and see whether or not that ends up being a good idea or not. But as for everything else, in regards to the movie itself, I think in terms of who they got directing it, because I haven't seen Bad Boys for Life yet, but I hear like one area that it really excels at is when it comes to a lot of its action scenes. So, having some good action there. And then, I wasn't like, even though I didn't love Birds of Prey, I still really enjoyed it. So I do think like having the writer of Birds of Prey working on this is a cool decision. And I do think there's a lot that she could probably bring to the table. I'll definitely have a stronger opinion on her based on how the Flash movie turns out. Because if I'm not mistaken, isn't she writing that as well?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, so wow, she's got like a lot of DC projects on her plate then, so good for her. But yeah, so I think that everything I'm hearing about this definitely gets me excited. I'm just really curious though, if this version of Batgirl, if it's going to be like again, like kind of in its own universe, or if it'll be connected to the DCAU, or if it's going to be connected to the Robert Pattinson Batman universe. Because clearly, you know, if you're going to do a Batgirl movie, you got to have Commissioner Gordon. So I'm like wondering, are we going to have J.K. Simmons, or are we going to have crap, I forgot his name, but the guy from Westworld,
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright, yeah.
Yeah, I love me some Jeffrey Wright. So I am curious too if that's who that's going to end up being. For me, I guess that would be a really big thing, right? As to when this movie certainly takes place, if it is in the Matt Reeves universe, or if this is something completely different, because it would end to, like, for me, it would bring up the question as to who's going to play Batgirl. You know, are we going to have a African American Batgirl if she is related to Jeffrey Wright? Right? Is she going to be mixed? Are we going to go the J.K. Simmons route, Batman for Batgirl for a Snyderverse, if you will, or are we taking a completely different route here, if you will, right? Like, is this going to be more connected to the actual cinematic universe that we have in play that has presented us with the Harley Quinn and things like that, where we've got an opportunity to see some sides of Gotham, if you will. So the fact that she has written Birds of Prey and she's writing Batgirl, I'm kind of leaning towards that direction, that maybe that is the area in which they'll focus on, and maybe keeping these two storylines somewhat connected if she's going to be that continued piece as far as her being the writer between those two movies. So I would be fascinated to find that out, because for me, when I'm thinking of Batgirl, the first person that comes to mind, just because I've seen countless like mock-ups and concept art of her that fans have put together, Anya Taylor-Joy from Queen's Gambit, from New Mutants. I think she would make a great Barbara Gordon. She's a fantastic actress also, and I really would love to see her dive into a superhero genre at some point in time. I don't know if that's something she's even interested in, but I think she's beautiful, and I think she would make a great Barbara Gordon, honestly. But I got to be honest with you, Stuart. I'm kind of there with you in regards to the idea of this going to HBO Max. I kind of wish this was coming to the big screen a little bit. It makes me wonder, like, why of all the characters you're not going to take a Batgirl and put her on the big screen? You know, I mean, I appreciate the idea of Warner Brothers wanting to do exclusive movies just for their streaming service, you know, to clearly bring in new subscribers and make sure that people understand they almost have to have HBO Max if they truly want to know the direction in which the DCEU is certainly kind of going in. So while I'm sure it'll be great for the streaming service itself, I'm just thinking, like, why are we relegating Batgirl to just an HBO Max streaming service movie? I feel like there's still a lot that they can dive into, especially when it comes to just the universe that they're trying to build. But I feel like right now where we're at when it comes to Batman is so confusing, just because they have so many different iterations of the character. Like if you know, we've got the Gotham PD series that's going to be going to HBO Max, which is a spinoff of the Matt Reeves Batman. So if this is going to be on HBO Max, is this then technically part of that world? I really don't know. So that's another reason why I would prefer this Batgirl movie to just be in theaters. But I will say this. I am excited that they finally have directors, because for me, this means now we've got a script. Now we've got ourselves a director. All we need now is to cast this character. If maybe they already have it cast, but this means, to me at least, that they really are focused on making this a reality, that this movie certainly is going to happen, maybe even quicker than I think some of us certainly expect. So Batgirl definitely is very much a big focus when it comes to the WB. So I'm really eager to see what they have in mind. And for me, Stuart, this almost kind of, even though this is Marvel related now, this almost gives me even better enthusiasm for Miss Marvel, because if you recall, these two directors are on board with the Miss Marvel series over on Disney Plus. They've directed the very first episode and the final episodes of that series also. So I part of me wonders if WB executives have had the opportunity to not only see their work that they've done in Bad Boys for Life, but also maybe heard some great things in regards to what they have in store for them with the Miss Marvel series. So this definitely boosts my interest in Miss Marvel even more. The fact that they've been recognized enough to be on another big tentpole film like Batgirl. So I think they have something special really working for themselves behind the scenes when it comes to Warner Brothers. So I'm really eager for this movie. Again, a little bit bummed that it's on HBO Max and not theaters, but I'm certainly still going to watch it. And my biggest question now will just be who's going to be playing Batgirl? Because one of the things that we've always said around here, Stuart, is when it comes to Batman, he could have his own cinematic universe if he wanted to. There's just so many characters, a huge rogues gallery. They literally can just have their own section of HBO Max if they wanted to, and just create a plethora of Batman content. Maybe this is part of it for all we certainly know. But I'm really eager for this, Stuart. I truly am.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you there with when it comes to like a lot of the characters that are like connected with Batman. A lot of them could just make such great solo movies on their own because of just how much depth just really goes into the Bat family, not just with the other characters related to specifically Batman and Bruce Wayne, but like even a lot of his villains. Like, you know, they did a great job, I thought, with the Joker movie. And, you know, now I have like so many ideas for different like Bat characters that would make great solo movies. One of them being Mr. Freeze. I think like you could have a Mr. Freeze movie, zero Batman in it, and it would still be amazing.
I think so too. Another one that I've heard outside of Mr. Freeze, maybe a Lex Luthor movie, if they wanted to focus on just villains and stuff. But yeah, I mean, sticking with when it comes to Batman, then definitely, yeah, Mr. Freeze, I think would be a great villain for them to focus on.
This probably wouldn't happen, but give the guy from the Lois and Superman, give him a spin-off film, the Lex Luthor from that series. I want an entire film about him trying to save his world from the evil Superman.
We just call it Captain Luthor. I would love to.
Yes, exactly.
I would love to see it.
Real quick though, going back to Batgirl, it's really funny because I remember back when Joss Whedon was originally petitioning himself to be a part of this, and a lot of people were backing him up on this. A lot of people wanted to see this happen, and just you had the dumbest like quote from him ever after like he was given this job that he'd been trying so hard to get, and then he gets it and he immediately kind of like leaves saying, oh yeah, I actually don't know what kind of movie I can make with this. Like, what?
Yeah, it always dumbfounded me. I remember when he came up with that quote, and I think we even talked about it here. And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Josh Whedon? You went and made Avengers, all right? You did a whole entire series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What do you mean you can't crack a story for Batgirl?" And I guess now I think everything's coming to fruition, right? I think things are becoming a lot clearer now. Maybe why he wasn't brought back to do anything DC related.
Yeah, definitely.
But Batgirl seems like it's in much better hands now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree. I had like back when this was like a while ago, but a couple of years ago, you know, I would write scripts based on like different movies I'd love to see, like in regards to DC. One of them was Batgirl. Like it wasn't a full length script, but it was like it had a general outline of the plot. And it wasn't until I kind of rereading it, I realized it was unintentionally a huge ripoff of Spider-Man Homecoming, because it started with Barbara, you know, having a costume that she made by hand and was meant to be for a Halloween party, but she ends up using it to save someone who's about to get mugged. And then we kind of have like a little flash forward where now she's working with Batman and she's got her own tech suit. But like then final act would be her losing the tech suit, and because she doesn't like have another suit she can wear that's like combat ready, she relies on her Halloween costume again, and that's what she ends up saving.
That's so Homecoming.
Yeah.
That's definitely so Homecoming story.
So yeah, it was funny. Like I didn't realize it until like I said it out loud when I was like telling my friend about it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Homecoming.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely think for me, when it comes to this Batgirl movie, the two questions that I would have is, one, again, who's being cast? Oh, excuse me, guys. And then secondly, what time period is this being set in? Or I should say, like, what universe is this being set in? So I'm hoping that we do get some clarification on that as the season certainly progresses. Hopefully I didn't like just sneeze and you just saw a bunch of like just stuff come out. Okay, good. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. How excited for you of the idea of Batgirl now finding its directors? To me, this lets me know that they're full throttle, if you will, going into this movie. They have all the pieces that they certainly need. So we'll see how fast this movie goes into development, guys. But we'll definitely keep you updated in any other Batgirl information that we wind up getting. All right, Stuart. And last but not least, we will stick with DC, but this time around, we're going to get into the world of animation, Stuart. DC animation is back, at least when it comes to series. I mean, we've seen some great animation already when it comes to the movie aspect of things. But when it comes to DC animation, I think it's something that we've both asked about on here, Stuart, for quite some time when people have asked us questions like, would you guys ever want to see Batman and Superman return in animated form? And the answer we continue to give is hell yes, we do. And guys, this past week, not only did we get one announcement, but we got two announcements for animated series when it comes to DC returning. That's right, Batman and Superman are back, ladies and gentlemen. I will start off first talking a little bit about the Superman series, which is going to be titled My Adventures with Superman. Let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. We'll bring up this first article here, and then we'll talk about the Batman one. But this is coming to us from comingsoon.com. My Adventures with Superman series set for HBO and Cartoon Network. And mind you, both of these series that we're going to be talking about will be coming to both HBO and Cartoon Network. So they're both there. This is our very first official picture of the Superman series, getting an idea of the artwork itself. But it says HBO Max and Cartoon Network have officially given a 2-season order to Warner Brothers. So 2 seasons already, titled My Adventures with Superman, centering around Clark, Lois, and Jimmy Olsen as they become an investigative reporting team at the Daily Planet. This serialized coming-of-age story will feature the voices of Alice Lee from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and The Boys star Jack Quaid, who have been tapped for the leading voice roles of Superman and Clark Kent. It says Superman has remained one of the most iconic, beloved superheroes in the world, is what the head of Kids and Family Programming stated. This fresh take from Warner Brothers animation team delivers a modern, relatable Clark Kent alongside a fearless, whip-smart Lois Lane, who are navigating the small tasks of becoming adults and trying to save the world. It's been a great partnership working with Cartoon Network and HBO Max to bring more DC superheroes to the platform in a new and creatively interesting way. This is the first animated Superman series in many years, and we want to tell our Superman story through the trio of Clark, Lois, and Jimmy, whose relationship dynamic will allow for rich, serialized, and engaging stories as we explore their lives as individuals and their journey together as friends. It does say the series is described as an action-packed, comedic, and romantic adventure of Superman and Lois. The all-new Kids and Family animated series will follow Clark as he builds his secret identity, builds his secret Superman identity, embraces his role as the hero of Metropolis and perhaps the world. Lois is now growing into a star investigative journalist, taking aspiring photographer Jimmy Olsen under her wing. All the while, Clark and Lois are falling in love, sharing adventures, taking down bad guys, stumbling over secrets, and discovering what it means to be Superman and Lois Lane, Stuart. So this is our first glimpse again into the upcoming animated series set to go be on HBO Max and Cartoon Network, titled My Adventures with Superman. I think this sounds great, man. You know, a part of me, Stuart, when I think of this, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to watch the recent Superman movie that they wind up having as far as a DC animated film, Man of Tomorrow. But there are aspects to that movie that this kind of feels like. The idea that we are maybe being introduced to younger versions of both Clark and Lois than we're usually used to. I think Man of Tomorrow, while it definitely does have both Clark and Clark as a reporter for the Daily Planet, I think it actually shows Lois Lane joining the team or joining the planet, if I'm not mistaken, or at least getting more recognition. So she is very much early on in her career in that animated film. So when I think of it, it almost feels like this is an extra jumping off point, if you will, wanting to tackle much younger versions of both Clark and Lois. But this sounds fun to me. I'm really eager to see what they do. The animation looks like for me is going to be probably my selling point. I'm eager to see what this Clark Kent is going to look like as Superman, and what the end result is certainly going to be for his costume. So I think this is great. I think as far as like an animated series, it'll be great to see Superman back in the fold. But I'm eager for it. I'm eager for it. I've been wanting the Superman series and Batman series for quite some time. So I'm glad that they're paying attention and at least giving us something.
Right, I forgot I was muted. Yeah, no, I am really hyped for this. Like everything that I'm hearing about it is definitely really exciting. And I'm kind of, you know what? I'm going to say something that may be like a bit of a hot take. I'm kind of relieved that it's not, a continuation of the Superman animated series, and instead it's like just. You're just going with your own new time period. And the reason I say that is because as much as I love Superman the animated series, they'd be kind of limited on the new stories that they could tell because between Superman and then every other animated show that takes place within that universe, it feels like they've tackled so much of that DC universe. There's not really that much more story you could really tell if you had a whole new Superman animated series. At least I don't think you could. So I do like that they're kind of taking this whole new time period, this whole new DC animated, universe seemingly. And yeah, giving us something decently new, but that doesn't like stray too far from what we know and love about Superman and Lois. And then of course, now having Jimmy Olsen as the main character as well, like him being implied to be like within the loop of Lois and Clark, that also gets me really excited, of course. You're muted.
See, I'm just falling into your trap, Stuart. I will say one of the things that really does excite me, like you mentioned, we've seen Superman in so many different iterations before. For me, it'll be really fun to kind of see them in their younger versions because I want to see them build that relationship up to where we see them now, and like current series of Superman and Lois that we have on the CW. Right, they're fully invested. They got kids. They got a family. The idea of seeing them get to that point of establishing a relationship for themselves, a friendship for themselves, that's the type of stuff that I really want to continue to see between Clark and Lois before they even eventually get to that point of falling in love or being married, if you will. There is an aspect of Clark Kent's life that I always kind of enjoyed having a view of. So I am really interested in just this time period for these characters. And I will say this, one of the things that jumped out at me, especially this past week on Twitter, was that there was actually some blowback towards this announcement just because of the fact of Jimmy Olsen being black, unfortunately. It's one of those things that people have continued to talk a little bit about. But one of the things that I said on Twitter is like, why are people getting upset about the idea of this animated Jimmy Olsen being black? It's not like the idea of Jimmy Olsen being black is something new. I was like, has anybody watched Supergirl? I mean, James Olsen was black for like 3 or 4 seasons on that show. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to many that they have the option to kind of dabble in different races for some of these characters. And so I think it makes perfect sense for me, honestly. And I'm really eager to see what they do with it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to me, my thought is I don't ever see anything wrong with like switching ethnicities as long as like nothing about that character, as long as the ethnicity isn't really like a part of that character, you know what I mean? Sorry, it's kind of hard to explain, but I feel like, for Jimmy Olsen specifically, his character is that he's nerdy, is that he's somewhat lacks confidence, but he can get it. And him being like best friends with Superman and Lois, like nothing about his character needed him to keep the ethnicity being white, so I personally don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah, and I think it should certainly be fine. But voices are loud when it comes to Twitter and social media in general. So, but I'm eager for it. I've been asking for a Batman and Superman series, and when it comes to Superman, we definitely have one coming. But again, that's not the only series that's headed to HBO Max and Cartoon Network, as we finally do have ourselves a new Batman animated series, guys. And if maybe the Superman animated series didn't sound that great to you guys, maybe it's not something that's really on your radar, but maybe this Batman one certainly will. Let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit, Stuart. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. This comes to us from comicbook.com, giving us a little bit of insight here. I don't know why this guy's talking about Captain America on this Batman topic, but it says new Batman animated series from Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves announced, Stuart. I mean, a match made in heaven. Am I right?
That is an amazing combo right there.
I mean, holy shit! I never thought I would see these three together. Honestly, well, I can't say that because they have worked very closely with each other. Sorry, give me a second. My thing was frozen on this side. So it says DC's Dark Knight is officially headed to the world of animated television. Warner Brothers has given a straight to order to a Batman Caped Crusader, a new animated series that is set to debut on both HBO Max and Cartoon Network. Caped Crusader is expected to bring an all-new reimagining of the Batman mythos with the help of three powerhouse executive producers: the Batman animated series alum Bruce Timm, legendary director and producer J.J. Abrams, and the Batman director Matt Reeves. The news was announced during Wednesday's Warner Brothers Upfront's presentation with them breaking the news, and they also provided key art to the series below, which we'll go ahead and present to you guys. This is actually the poster that they went ahead and released. So definitely a different take on Batman, if you will. It feels very more classic noir Batman from like just way back in the day with maybe 40s, 50s, 60s. I can't even remember. Especially the idea of him adapting the long ears, if you will, to the animation. There is still a sense of Batman animated series vibes that I'm getting from this poster, especially with the font and just the way that it looks. So it feels like a culmination of like classic and more modern. You know what I mean, Stuart?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it definitely comes off as a Bruce Timm project, and it reminds me, like you were saying, of like the really old school detective comic book series, which makes me actually wonder if this animated show might be a period piece. Like, if this took place in the 40s or the 50s and we get like a noir style detective animated show with Batman, dude, I am really hyped for this. And yeah, just that art, man, that is such a wonderful cover to like release for this show. Yeah, it definitely, and it's cool that it's going to be airing alongside with the Superman animated series, because that's exactly like what they did back in the day when you had the new adventures of Batman and Robin, and then Superman the animated series, when they'd be like airing back to back.
I'm kind of hoping that's what they do here too. I mean, if you're announcing both Superman and Batman having animated series on HBO Max and Cartoon Network, I almost feel like this has to be a back-to-back release, or maybe if not back-to-back on the same day, maybe at least one Wednesday, one Thursday. Who certainly knows? But I love the sound of this. But let's go ahead and dive just a little bit deeper into this. And I apologize, my internet is for some reason is like being really slow now. Right now, but it says utilizing state-of-the-art animation techniques and technologies available, Caped Crusader will once again reinvent Batman and his iconic rogues gallery with sophisticated storytelling, nuanced characters, and intense action sequences, all set in a visually striking world. Casting details are currently unknown at this time. This is what they said in a couple of the statements. It's always fun to feed the insatiable appetite fans have for all things Batman. The Caped Crusader will entertain first-time and die-hard fans alike, and with such an impressive creative team in place, we know we have another future Batman classic in the making. I mean, I can't even disagree with that. Batman the Animated Series was a masterpiece that shaped the perception of the character for an entire generation of fans. It is in that spirit that we are bringing together three master storytellers, each with their own intuitive understanding and affection for the character, to create a new series that will continue in the same groundbreaking legacy. It says this will mark Timm's long-awaited return to Batman animation on television after he spearheaded at Emmy-winning Batman animated series. For Reeves and Abrams, the collaboration is significant on multiple levels. For one, the pair have been friends and collaborators since they were 13 years old, working on projects such as Felicity and Cloverfield. On another level, both recently signed landmark deals with Warner Brothers. Abrams for an overall deal and Reeves for an overall overall television deal. So they say, we are beyond excited to be working together to bring these characters back to tell the engrossing stories in Gotham City, is what they all said in the statement. This series will be thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots, while diving deeper into the psychology of these iconic characters. We cannot wait to share this new world. Stuart, I am beyond freaking excited for this, man. I feel like right now, Matt Reeves, with where he's at with the Batman series, J.J. Abrams tackling things like Justice League Dark, an upcoming Superman movie, pretty much these massive deals that Warner Brothers have striked with J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves are coming to fruition. They're certainly paying off with some incredible groundbreaking announcements in here. And when you've got somebody like Bruce Timm that just knows animation for DC and just knows Batman, this is just a match made in heaven for me. I really cannot wait to see just the type of iconic storylines that we wind up getting, because I just think writing wise, creative wise, these guys truly are masters in their field, and I'm really eager to see what that's going to look like in animation form for a character like Batman. This is the animated series that I'm truly looking forward to the most.
Yeah. You stole the words right out of me, because yeah, I'm really excited for this, because I love Bruce Timm. I love his work that he's done on almost like anything Batman related, with the exception of Batman and Harley Quinn. That was a really bad movie, but other things that he's worked on, the Batman animated series, the Justice League series, of course, I still think Justice League Unlimited is like almost like, it's definitely up there, my top 5 or top 3 like favorite animated shows of all time, because it is just so freaking amazing. So I'm really excited to see that talent coming back, and to see him actually working with people that are producing DC actual DC movies. I think that's just incredibly exciting to me. So I look forward to seeing what they all bring to the table. Something I'm really hoping we get continued from Batman the Animated Series, and from just overall what a lot of DC animated movies and shows tend to do, and I hope we get this in this series. I really hope we get a talented voice acting cast that records their line in the same room, because a lot of DC projects usually do that, and it's why a lot of DC television shows end up having such really good voice acting to them.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, that definitely would help them as far as balance the emotion that they need from each other, if you will, that extra energy to go ahead and pull from it, so that they can really make their performances even better than what we've seen before. So I definitely agree with you. I am looking to see who the voice casting list is definitely going to be for this upcoming series. And if anything, just based off of what they said, of it still sort of tapping into that noir factor of Batman, it definitely makes me think that they probably will be taking sort of that dark and gritty vibe that we wind up getting from like the classic Batman animated series, and still sort of bringing it over to this modern take of Batman. So I'm really eager to see just what these guys do. I mean, again, Matt Reeves coming straight off of his Batman version, he's going to be having some influence in regards to what the tone and the vibe of this show certainly is. And again, Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams, unbelievable stuff. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It feels like the 90s or early 2000s are back with these great announcements of animated features. So we'll see what happens. But guys, we want to know your thoughts. You hear this about these animated series, Batman, the Caped Crusader, along with My Adventures with Superman. What are your guys' thoughts in regards to both of these series being announced, and which one are you certainly looking forward to the most, guys? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Still no release date as to when these will in fact be hitting HBO Max and Cartoon Network, but when we do get more information, we certainly will go ahead and keep you guys posted in regards to that. But guys, other than that is all of our topics for the day. So thank you very much, each and every one of you guys, for certainly joining us. If anything, now is the time to get into your guys' live viewer questions. You ready to go ahead and tackle some questions with me, Stuart?
Always. But before we do, I do want to bring up an idea I just had for these upcoming animated series. I think it would be really cool if some of the voice actors that have been established in the Harley Quinn series, it would be really cool if we actually got some of them within the Superman animated series, and same with Batman. Because, like, especially for Lex Luthor, they had I always forget the actor's name, but he plays Gus in Breaking Bad, and then of course he's in The Boys as well. But
Giancarlo Esposito.
yes,
Okay.
so he voices Lex Luthor in the Harley Quinn series, and I would love to see him take that exact performance, but in a less like comedic kind of fashion. Like I'd love to see him do that same performance, but play it straight. So
that would be. I was about to say,
yeah.
because I know with Harley Quinn, I mean, there is definitely a little bit of a comedic factor towards it for sure. So I would be interested to see, like, if they did bring back those voice actors, how they would reprise their role. So it's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. Let's see here. From last week, Jessica Friedman's got a couple questions. Would you like to see one of Batman's villains show up on Batwoman? And would you like to see a reboot of the 90s Superman series one day? Well, the reboot of the 90s Superman series, I feel like we've kind of gotten that a little bit in Superman and Lois. Definitely a lot more current, more modern take on it. Not quite the adventures of Clark and Lois and Clark or anything like that, but it still very much focuses on that family aspect and their relationship for sure. So I feel like we've already gotten one when it comes to Superman, which, mind you, if you guys have not checked out Superman and Lois, it is in fact back now on the CW. Stuart just went ahead and dropped his review for episode 6, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely go ahead and check it out on our YouTube page if you get the opportunity to do so. But has Batwoman introduced any Batman villains outside of, I've always seen Black Mask, not necessarily quite like a Batman villain. Is he a Batman villain, or is he usually somebody else's villain?
No, he was a Batman. He's a Batman villain. I mean, he's probably been a villain for other people, but I always see him as a Batman villain.
Batman.
Yeah. Okay. But so we have Black Mask, and then in episode 3 we had oh god, why do I always forget the guy's name? I think it's Zaz, if I'm not mistaken. He's the guy that constantly marks himself for everyone he kills. Yeah,
Victor,
he was.
Is it Victor Zaz?
Victor Zaz, yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah. They've had a couple of Batman specific villains. Oh, and Hush. Wow, I can't believe I forgot about that. Yeah, they literally had Hush in season 1. So, they do have some Batman villains. But I think the Superman show that she was referring to was the animated one, which technically we already showed that is kind of getting a reboot. It's definitely not going to be a reboot of that Superman show specifically, but it is just a reboot of Superman. So it is cool that, we're getting another Superman animated series, which I'm always excited about.
Yeah, I am too. It's been long coming, man. So I'm glad that they finally pulled the trigger on it.
I remember feeling so let down from I think it was called Justice League Action, because it looked like it was going to be like a new Justice League animated series, so I was excited, but it pretty much is just kind of a more comedic show. It's not really meant to be taken seriously, because like each episode is like 10 minutes, and it's pretty much just 8 minutes of fight scenes and then 2 minutes of cracking jokes. So it's okay, I guess. Like I can see like really young kids liking it, but it's not the Justice League animated show that I want back. It's not my Justice League.
Not your Justice League. No, I get it. Let's see here. We got Marcelino Vasquez with a couple questions. What is your favorite TV show 100 episode celebration? He says, my personal favorites are Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Flash, and Gotham. God, I don't remember 100 episode celebrations really well. Maybe you do, Stuart. Do you have any 100 episode celebrations you watched that you were a fan of?
I guess one, just because the entire episode didn't even treat itself like a celebration until the very last line, and that's what made it really funny. South Park had a whole episode where the entire time it was about whether or not like the founding fathers would be for the war or against it. That was currently going on, and it ended out of nowhere with like Cartman giving a speech about, America's hypocrisy is what brings us all together. And so everyone starts singing and celebrating 100 episodes of South Park, and it comes just out of nowhere. And so it's really funny.
That's pretty funny. That's probably a pretty great answer. Which bad movie adaptation do you, hold on. Which bad movie adaptation do you personally something because it gave the thing? you love attention. For okay, so which bad movie adaptation I'm assuming do you personally like because it gave the thing you love attention? For example, a lot of Street Fighter fans constantly make fun of the 1994 live action movie and have acknowledged it that it is bad, but they still love it because it gave their favorite fighting game some love and that it became exposed to the general public. So, do you have a movie like that? A bad movie adaptation that you personally liked because it gave the thing you love attention? For example, a lot of the Street Fighter fans constantly make fun for the '94 live action movie and have acknowledged that it's bad, but it still love it because it gave their favorite fighting game some love and publicity.
I mean, maybe I could say Dragon Ball Evolution in the sense of
God.
like like I don't love it. In fact, I actually hate the movie, but I guess like in the sense of it did bring Dragon Ball back to people's attention, just maybe not in the best way. Although that movie is what led to Battle of Gods coming out, like, you know, and several years later, because Akira Toriyama hated it so much, he's like, screw you, I'm going to show you how a Dragon Ball Z movie should be done.
That's
so
true.
I guess in a way, Dragon Ball Evolution kind of helped revive Dragon Ball Z, as bad as that is. So I guess you could say Dragon Ball Evolution is my answer.
I feel like the easy answer here for me would be to say Mortal Kombat. Even though, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. The first movie wasn't necessarily the best. I mean, it's fun. It's become a cult classic, but I don't know if anybody would tell you that movie is top-notch quality. You know what I mean? But I think in regards to bringing more attention and more eyes to maybe Mortal Kombat as a whole, probably. And another one I was going to say was He-Man Masters of the Universe, a really bad movie. I don't know if that brought attention to the franchise or not, or maybe just ruined it even more by throwing it into the ground. I have no idea. I mean, if anything, I feel like it's maybe brought attention to the franchise that people have been wanting to try and revamp this movie for years, and it still hasn't gotten off the ground. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good question or answer or not, but maybe Mortal Kombat's probably the better answer for that one from me. But we'll see. Last question here from him. It says, how is it that whenever there's a new Batman or Superman movie or TV show, people are always excited for it and not getting fatigued? Personally, I'm getting fatigued from it, and I want more attention on characters that the general public don't know a lot about. He does reference Reggie in here. I don't know why he references Reggie. We haven't seen Reggie in a minute, but he says, Reggie, if you're there, I'm sorry, not sorry. But if it were up to me, I would not have Batman or Superman in any kind of movie or TV shows for the next 20 to 30 years. Yeah. So somebody clearly fatigued in Marcelino Vasquez. But how is it, do you think, Stuart, that whenever there is a new Batman or Superman movie, people are always excited for it?
I think for me, it kind of comes to just me. I really want to see a Batman and a Superman live action that we can like actually commit to, one that we can stick to for a while, like see them develop over the course of several movies, like the Marvel movies have done with a lot of their characters, you know. I would love to see a Batman franchise eventually turn into a Bat Family franchise, like as, you know, the sequels continue to come out. So I think for me, it's the fact of knowing that this might be it. This might be the new definitive Batman or the new definitive Superman that we could finally, you know, commit to. So I think like that's what I get disappointed by a lot of times with Warner Brothers, is when they just kind of give up on it and then want to start over again. I'm like, no, let this one develop or something. But you know, I just think it's also just because they're very iconic characters, and there's always so many good variations, so many good ways of like how you could tell these incredible stories, like based on these great characters. And I think people always have like their ideas of which, or people are always excited to see which stories they might tackle next and what style they might tackle them in. Now, I do agree with your point. I do wish there were, you know, some, because there are a lot of heroes in Marvel and DC, and I feel like Marvel is really taking advantage of that now when it comes to their movies with all their upcoming projects that they got. But you know, with DC, yeah, it is kind of frustrating that they have like a lot of characters that they still have ever developed a live action adaptation for, that they're still just kind of like keeping like on the shelf, not really doing anything with. So, but it does seem like that is starting to change. You look at a lot of upcoming DC projects, it does look like they're finally, doing a little mixture of both. We're getting like, the Batman and Superman movie, but we're also going to be getting some movies, with Static Shock and Batgirl, as we discussed earlier in the episode. So yeah, we do have, the lesser known superheroes getting developed sometime soon. Oh, you're muted.
I mean, yeah, you can even throw in like Blue Beetle, Supergirl, that's being developed also, right? So they are trying to take their shots. At least right now, they're kind of on the slate of actually happening. Whether or not they actually pull the trigger for some of these characters, we'll definitely see. But so I definitely understand where you're coming from, Marcelino, and the idea of wanting to see new characters explored. I think when it comes to Marvel, they've kind of earned that right now at this point. They've established themselves so well when it comes to the MCU that they really have warranted the idea of, let's really start tackling a lot of these other characters that people probably would have never thought would have gotten a TV series or a movie of their own. Now that they have established an entire cinematic universe, it's easier for them to definitely roll out some of these non-recognizable characters and now giving them shine. Whereas when it comes to DC, they haven't really earned that yet. They haven't really come to that point yet, but they're certainly working on it. I think I would agree with you, Stuart. I think the reason why they go back to Batman and Superman is they're just iconic. They're characters that everybody knows of. Very bankable characters. If you make a Batman or Superman movie, you're gonna get your money back. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna make it. It may not necessarily be as much as you'd like to get back, but you're gonna make money off of it. And there's just so many classic stories, so many classic villains to certainly tap into when it comes to Superman and Batman. That's probably why they use them as much as they certainly do. So I get the fatigue. I'm sure you're not the only person, Marcelino, that certainly believes that there is a fatigue out there. But I think people will always get excited for something Batman or Superman related, just because they're just some of the two most popular heroes in the entire universe. You know what I mean? Like, it's just impossible to kind of get away from them. But I can understand the fatigue that some people probably get, in the sense of, how many times are we going to reboot Batman, right? How many times are we going to get a new person to play this role? How many times are we going to continue to tell the death of Martha and Thomas Wayne? You know what I mean? How many different iterations are we going to get? But the idea of not having a new movie for like 20 or 30 years, that I feel like would certainly be a huge mistake, because I feel like when it comes to DC, they have to be your tentpole characters, and then everything else sort of built around them. You know what I mean? I mean, there's such huge parts of your Justice League, right? Your big main 6 or 7 heroes for your league. So I think you would be missing out on a ton of money and a ton of enthusiasm, because while you may certainly be fatigued, trust me when I say there are millions of people that would love to pay you money to actually see Batman and Superman in theaters again, or even any projects by them. But I get the fatigue. Trust me, I definitely do. But you just can't ignore Batman and Superman. So people will always get excited. And I'm sure there will be some people that got excited for this news of Batman and Superman having animated series. And who knows, Marcelino, maybe you just rolled your eyes like, again, more Batman, Superman, who knows? But great question, man. Great question. Thank you very much for that question. So I definitely understand your points. We definitely want to see others heroes certainly get their shine, but there's unfortunately no way to get around the idea of Batman and Superman having as much focus as they do.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to, I really hope that, this time with Robert Pattinson, I hope we get like, a few movies with him. And it's not just going to be another, okay, we've had a small run with him, let's move on to another Batman. Same with the upcoming Superman reboot that they're working on. It's like, okay, cool. So are these going to be our new Superman and Batman that we can like actually commit to now? Because I'd love to like actually have a Superman and Batman that we can follow for a while and see develop.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that's what they have with Robert Pattinson here. I'm hoping the guy's certainly young enough, excited enough to continue to tackle this character, and hopefully we get more than maybe 3 movies out of him. Who certainly knows? We'll definitely see.
It's also why I hope that Batgirl is it's going to be connected to that Batman instead of the Ben Affleck one.
Let's see here. We got Doomsday with a couple questions. Which Spider-Man movie had the better sequel, Stuart? Well, this one's easy for me, man. Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, or Far From Home?
Um, I'd probably have to go with Spider-Man 2. Far From Home was a really fun movie. But Spider-Man 2 had some amazing moments, albeit it also had some kind of, it definitely still has some kind of cringe moments to me, specifically when it comes to a lot of scenes with Mary Jane. I just don't think the romance scenes in the older Spider-Man movies hold up anywhere near as much as like, everything else about those movies. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 to me had some amazing moments. Still one of my favorites is like the one where he kind of confesses to Aunt May about Uncle Ben. That moment still feels very impactful to me.
And I don't want to say it feels awkward, but like it definitely it is impactful because I just seeing Aunt May's reaction, like I don't know if I expected that. Like I would have thought Aunt, like while I'm sure she would have been crushed and hurt, I thought that it's your grandson, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, or not your grandson, but your nephew. So I thought she would have handled it differently than what she did. But yeah, that shit hit me hard.
Well, I think that's why she walked away, and that's why I think it's such a brilliant scene, because she knew she would have said something she would have instantly regretted, I feel like. And so I think she walked away just knowing that Peter telling her that was really hard for him, and knowing that, however she reacted was only going to make it even worse. So, and I do like that, she eventually, as we see in a couple scenes later, that she clearly held no grudge against him or anything. She just at that period of time really didn't want to do something or say something that she would have instantly regretted. And I love it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So yes, for me, it would definitely be Spider-Man 2. Also, like you mentioned, some really great moments. For me, I loved the scene of Harry slapping the shit out of Peter at the gala or whatever that they were having. Like for me, that's one of my favorite scenes that just kind of represents Peter Parker's life as a whole. That nothing good tends to happen to this guy. Like just that struggle and balance of being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man, if you will, and seeing like everything just crash down around him. I mean, poor man's trying to get a drink. Every time he gets a drink, it's fucking empty. Things aren't going well with Mary Jane. He gets the huge announcement she's getting married at the same time. Like, what the hell is going on? And then he gets into an argument with his best friend who slaps the hell out of him for being friends with Spider-Man. Like, everything just goes down the hill for Spider-Man in here. And I think Toby just did a great job of portraying that as Peter. It just had some really great moments. Seeing Spider-Man just literally at his lowest, and then literally having to gain that strength back, if you will, to go ahead and take down Doc Ock. I just thought it was some really great superhero storytelling by Sam Raimi. I thought it was incredible.
Oh yeah, and plus Doc Ock is just an amazing villain in that movie.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. And it wasn't the issue that he was having doubts within himself, so it was taking away his powers. Like his powers were malfunctioning from time to time and things like that. And it's not until the very final end where you finally see him finally muster up, get his strength back to go ahead and save Mary Jane. I thought it was great.
The best, one of my favorite moments in that movie. It was so cheesy, but in the right way, was when his powers are back working. So you get kind of the callback to the first movie with him noticing that his glasses make it ruin his vision. So the moment where he throws his glasses to the ground and then becomes Spider-Man again. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. Let's see here. Which MCU plot twist caught you completely off guard the most? Was there MCU plot twist that caught you completely off guard?
I have an answer. Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin not being the Mandarin. It caught me off guard, but probably not in the best way. I was legit kind of annoyed by that. Iron Man 3 is a fun movie and everything, but that plot twist, I don't know, just something about it didn't sit right with me. I mean, I definitely didn't see it coming for sure. So I'll give it that.
I'm trying to think, I want to say plot twist. I feel like there are a couple, the one that gets me, I don't even necessarily know if this is a plot twist or not, or just a direction that they decided to go with the story that I didn't see coming. Probably the Black Widow and Bruce Banner relationship.
Oh yeah.
I honestly didn't see that coming like at all. And when they really tried to push that in Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, I was really thrown back to the point to where I was like, I'm not feeling this. Like I'm not really feeling this relationship between those two. So that was a little bit of a twist for me that I definitely was not expecting for them to tackle.
The other one, actually, I got to give a shout out to one of my favorite moments in another Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, when knocking on the door and having the Vulture answer it. That was such a great moment.
Yo, it felt so tense. Like they did such a good job of bringing the intensity, because from him being in the house and just getting her ready for the prom to that damn long ass ride to the prom, yo, I'm pretty sure I was sweating. I'm pretty sure I left like armpit stains on my shirt. Like, oh my God, what the hell's gonna happen here? Yeah, it was incredible. That probably is the best answer for that.
Especially with the traffic light.
Yeah, the going from the green to red sort of thing. Yeah, it was perfect. And he says, I'm thinking about watching the Aquaman movie for the first time, and I was wondering what were your thoughts, what your thoughts about the movie was. I really enjoyed Aquaman. I had a blast with Aquaman. I even enjoyed the opening sequence when they had I'm always great with actresses' names, and it's who's the actress that played Thor's Aquaman's mom?
I have no idea.
Oh Jesus,
I'm terrible with names too.
Hold on a second. I love her as an actress. I literally just watched her in this HBO Max series too. Nicole Kidman, Jesus, Adam. Nicole Kidman. I thought she did a marvelous job as the queen, especially in the intro. Just seeing Nicole Kidman just kick ass with her trident, I thought was incredible. I would recommend checking it out if you get the opportunity, man. Jason Momoa has a great performance in there. It's really fun if you ask me. I think even the final sequences, just huge battles and stuff, are remarkable. I think James Wan did a great balance of superhero yet horror elements involved in it, if you will. I had a fun time. It does not. I want to say. Let me say this. Having seen the movie, it doesn't surprise me that it made over $1 billion. But going into the movie, I certainly was not expecting an Aquaman movie to bring in $1 billion at all. But for me, it was just a really fun popcorn flick, and I think Jason Momoa nails the character for his iteration of Arthur, and I think it allows it to be a really fresh movie, if you ask me.
I gotta recommend people watch this video on YouTube after they watch the movie, because there are spoilers. But Cosmout Variety Hour did a review for Aquaman, and it is one of the funniest movie reviews I have ever seen.
Yeah, check it. Did you enjoy the movie overall, though, for yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a.
Let's not give too many spoilers. Let's not give too many spoilers away. But
yeah, I'm not giving any spoilers. Yeah, it's a fun movie, and Jason Momoa, just you can tell he's having a blast doing it, and we're having a blast watching him. I'd say, like, without spoiling specifically what I'm talking about, my only like kind of issue was with one of the side villains. It just really felt like he was just forced in there. And barely really played that much into the plot. And I think they should have just saved him completely for the second movie.
For the second one. Yeah, I definitely would agree. I mean, a great introduction, I think, at least giving us an origin story and stuff. But yeah, I definitely would have. Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping that when it comes to the sequel, he's definitely more at the forefront this time around. But I definitely get what you're getting at. But yeah, Doomsday, when you check it out, when you check out Aquaman for yourself, definitely go ahead and let us know. I would just say don't expect any Emmy award winning performances, but just go in there and enjoy for what it is, because I was really impressed. And then we got AJ. AJ's got a couple questions. This is a little bit of an update. I tell you, this guy tries to always sneak in like 4 questions into one. So let's see what AJ has for us. What did you like about the time traveling episode of Supergirl season 6 when Brainy and Nia went back to 2009 to help the younger versions of Kara and Alex? And what did you think of Kenny being played by Peter Sadarso? What did you think?
Oh my gosh, Peter Sadarso did so great in that episode. I can't remember like the other guy that they had playing Kenny, but I definitely kind of prefer this version of Kenny in the flashback episode, or I guess time travel episode. I also loved you could tell a lot of the lines were improvised and not in a bad way, but I loved the scenes with Brainiac and Dreamer together. Like the two of them what one of the things that bothered me in season 5 was that it's like they got into a relationship for like 1 or 2 episodes before, Brainy kind of just shut her out of his life. So it's like we never really got to see them actually as a couple in season 5. So season 6, we're finally seeing it play out, and we see that the two actors have amazing chemistry together.
Yeah. Yeah, they work incredibly well. I will say this, and for me, that 2-part almost helped solidify Dreamer's role as her own individual hero. It felt like the idea of seeing her step up, go through some difficulties. I love the idea of her struggling with trying to maybe reach out to her mom because her mom's alive back in 2009. I thought that was a really great dilemma for her, but also her continuing to really embrace the idea of her powers and learning a little bit more about herself. And if you ask me, again, really solidifying herself as a solo hero in her own right, that certainly brings a ton of value to the team. So, I didn't know what to expect in the 2009 sort of time traveling thing. I thought it was just going to be an excuse for them to wear retro clothing and go back and play some great old school soundtrack music for some proms and stuff and just be ridiculous. But I thought it was actually pretty sentimental and just actually really emotional and awesome storytelling on their part. And I got to agree with you, man. Peter Sadarso just killed this role as Kenny. I mean, I don't know how old this dude is, but he still plays a high schooler like to perfection. He just has that aura about him that just really works. And I thought his chemistry with young Kara and even young Alex, who bravo to them for continuing to be just great performers and just really resembling their counterparts really well. I thought Peter Sadarso just really killed it, and I loved his scenes, especially with not only young Kara but also Brainiac as well. So yeah, I had a blast. I was really pleased with those 2-part episodes, and I didn't think I was going to be at all. He also asked, did you guys check out Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead with Dave Bautista on Netflix? If so, what did you guys think of the movie? I myself really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too. It gave me everything I wanted to see. I thought some of the action scenes were really great. And yeah, I think Zack Snyder did a lot better of a job of the slow motion mixed with the fast paced action, like how it turns on and off. It was a lot better in this than it was in Justice League, where I feel like he did a little bit too much, or not a little, way too much slow motion.
Way too much, yeah.
So
like that whole first hour, I felt like if you had taken out the slow motion, it probably would have been like 30 minutes.
Probably, because I prefer it when he does it like he did it in Watchmen and in 300, where there's like the amazing balance of the two, where it'll start out slow motion as someone swinging a punch, but then as the punch plays out, it goes to fast motion, and then before the impact, we get a little more slow motion. I love it when he does it that way, but Justice League was all slow motion. But yeah, here in Army of the Dead, he kind of goes back to the really good balance of the two. There's a great balance of slow motion and fast-paced action within the fight scenes. I'd say the worst part about the movie, though, is Zack Snyder sucks at telling jokes, because the one-liners in this movie were so freaking cringe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there is any maybe downside to the movie, it probably would be the humor and dialogue at times. But other than that, I haven't finished it. I probably will go ahead and finish it this week, or this weekend, just because of the fact that we started watching it super late on Friday night, so I just couldn't stay up, and we've had a busy weekend. So I probably will check it out. But from what I saw so far, I really enjoyed it. I think the zombies are incredible in his own right. I mean, definitely deadly. I would not survive this at all. I think the girlfriend said that in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, we're dead already. But the action is great. I think, like you mentioned this before we went live, Dave Bautista did a pretty good job, especially being able to draw some really raw emotions out from him and things like that. So I'm eager to see how this movie ends, Stuart. I've kind of left myself a little bit of a cliffhanger. Like, they have made it to the casino, and the guy has like opened up. Cool. He has opened up the vault, and like that's it for me, man. So I'll be interested to see where the rest of it goes. But yeah, great characters also. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend people check it out.
I'll also say this: it's hilarious. The one actor that they ended up replacing, I can't remember which actor it was, but it was an actor who had some problematic backgrounds being revealed about him, so he ended up getting fired.
It was the helicopter operator.
Yeah,
I think it was. Oh God, he was a famous comedian too. Damn it, I lost it. It'll come back, so don't worry.
Yeah, I forgot which actor they originally had, but the new person that they put in, she does a really good job of pretending like she's actually talking to people, even though it is somewhat clear that like she wasn't actually with anyone on set. It for the movie, it was the most convenient role to replace, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty hilarious too. Comedian Chris D'Elia. Chris D'Elia was accused of sexual misconduct, so Zack Snyder made the decision to replace his role in Army of the Dead. Tig Notaro wind up playing the character. So yeah, it was Chris D'Elia, whatever his name was, that was replaced. He also says the second half of that question though is what other films have you seen by Zack Snyder that we really don't talk about? Let me see other movies. Sucker Punch is one that we don't really ever bring up. We haven't really brought up Sucker Punch before. We have brought up Watchmen. 300 you brought up also. Anything else you can think of?
Looking through his filmography, because I actually can't remember.
Was it Dawn of the Dead that he did?
He did the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I've actually never seen his remake though, so I really like Army of the Dead, so I'll probably like Dawn of the Dead as well. So I'll definitely have to check that out. But yeah, he's mostly just kind of a lot of his other films that he does are actually just short films. There was a recent short film I saw from him that was actually not bad. I can't remember. Was it Snowstream Iron? I think it was Snowstream Iron that I saw that was pretty good.
See, I never even heard of that one before, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to try and check that one out. But for me, I loved Watchmen. I know Watchmen isn't for everybody. I really enjoyed what he was able to do there. I feel like for a movie that a lot of people mentioned, there's no way you can make a movie adaptation out of the Watchmen series. I thought he did a pretty good job, honestly, out of the comic book series. 300, I think, goes down as a classic. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do the sequel for that. And Sucker Punch, visually, I thought it was stunning. The women were absolutely beautiful and deadly in that movie. Extremely talented. I love being able to see just their range for sure. But I think storyline was probably maybe one of his weakest. I've only remember seeing it in theaters once, and I've never revisited it after that. But maybe it's worth checking out though again.
Yeah, same here. I've only watched it once, and I just thought it was kind of okay. Wasn't really into it. I really liked it visually, of course, for several reasons.
I did really enjoy the main actress that played in it, and I remember her. I believe she was in the Lemony Snicket movie, if I'm not mistaken, the main actress that played in Sucker Punch. And I honestly thought she was going to go on to have a massive career. I wonder if Sucker Punch maybe ruined that for her, or if she decided to go down a different path. I really would like to see what her IMDb says in regards to what else she certainly worked on, because I thought she was great. But yeah.
But yeah, I loved Watchmen. I thought that was an amazing movie by Zack Snyder. So that's personally my favorite Zack Snyder film.
And then last question from AJ. He says, "What did you guys think of Jordan Fisher's?" What did you guys? Yeah, this is a situation of like a bajillion questions in one. What did you think of Jordan Fisher as Bart Allen Impulse? Does it look like comic book accurate? And for the 150th anniversary episode, do you think the episode itself will be similar to the 100th anniversary, where Barry and perhaps now Bart and Nora have to go back in time to get something, or this time has to do with siblings coming to 2021?
Well, I think the episode is going to be I don't think there's going to be any time traveling on Barry's part. I think it's just going to be Nora and Bart Allen doing the time traveling to get to the past, to help them out. But yeah, as for what I think of him so far, just from maybe not the promo images, mind you, but from the photos that specifically Canada Grass has been taking of him in the Impulse suit. I think the suit looks amazing. I haven't seen him do anything live action before, but he was a really good voice actor on She-Ra. He actually played one of my favorite characters on that show. Yeah. So, I definitely look forward to seeing what he does with Bart Allen. I personally think he's going to nail it. And again, that is a really good looking costume, and it sucks that there's some really bad promo images.
I definitely agree. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the promo image, but I do think he looks great in the costume itself when you see it behind the scenes, and I think it's going to look just as good in live action when the episode actually airs. He does ask, do you think that this episode, the 150th, will be better or on par with the 100th episode? Excuse me.
Hopefully better. I thought the 100th episode was kind of like it was just okay, just because it was literally just a clip show, kind of. It was a clip show that it was a clip show that they actually put effort into, because it wasn't like they just it's not like they just played out scenes for several amount of times to take up time. It was more of just, they traveled back to certain events, so you constantly seeing like them getting some guest stars to kind of reenact certain scenes from The Flash. So that was kind of cool. But when you kind of look at the overall plot, it really is just kind of a glorified clip show.
Well, yeah, then I would assume then hopefully 150 will certainly be better based off of that alone. But we'll definitely have to see when it hits. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for all of our live viewer questions for today, guys. So thank you very much for all of your questions and comments. Stuart, is there anything in the live chat that you saw that maybe you want to go ahead and bring up? Let me see. Oh, real quick, shout out to Adrian Perez for certainly coming through. Brother from another mother here says, just checking in. How are you guys doing? Great so far. It's been a little bit of a rainy weekend here out in Fort Worth, Texas, but overall, hopefully the sun will start coming out again. But got a chance to mow the lawn earlier this week before the rain hit, because it definitely needed it. But yeah, it's been going well so far. AJ does say Black Lightning is literally the first all-black superhero family series. Maybe that's why CW is canceling it, which just baffles me, honestly. Like it's the first, and we've never had a series quite like it. People rave about it all the time. Why it's getting canceled? Come on, CW, you got some questions to answer, my guy. You know what I mean? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that if it is ratings when it comes to why they're canceling it, my question is, if ratings are an issue, why are they so bad at this is something that one of the YouTubers I watch, Erickson Reloaded, he brings this up all the time. CW is so bad at promoting Black Lightning too, because they essentially will give a promo for the first episode when the season is premiering, and then they gave a promo to the Painkiller episode and a promo to the last episode finale. That's about it.
Yeah, I asked that in one of my reviews too. I was like, I don't think we're getting previews for the next episodes here. Like, it's super random in regards to when they give it to us. And somebody mentioned like, yeah, they just don't like promoting the show, which I just do not get. It's just like, who's the one that's just out there? Like, who's the one promoting this stuff? Who's the one behind the scenes that is just that numb and just that deaf to actually hearing the voices of the fans that really enjoy the show? You know what I mean? It's just it baffles me, man.
So here's one, and I like how he put no spoilers, because I think he knows that I haven't been keeping up with it. But no spoilers, but I got really pissed at the end of last week's Batwoman. What do you guys think of the leaked Luke as Batwing? The photos that I saw aren't the best quality, because obviously you can tell they're taken from a distance. But that said, I still think it definitely does look really cool, and I'm just excited that Batwing is actually coming to the Arrowverse.
Do you think it's too early, or do you think this is good timing for him?
It really depends on how they explain it. One issue I've had, with Batwoman even since season 1 is just how much they really rush certain developments. How like they're really bad at making origin stories, basically, on that show. Because for both the opening of season 1 and the opening of season 2, it just really felt incredibly way too rushed with them getting into their new Bat costumes. But with that being said, I don't know how they're going to write it with Luke being the new Bat or being Batwing, because in the show, I haven't seen anything, but I also haven't watched any of the recent episodes. I haven't seen anything to establish the idea that he's actually good at martial arts, because he's always being saved. So I'm very curious how they're going to explain him becoming a superhero now. Is it going to be like one of those things where the suit does all the work for him, or he secretly has known martial arts this whole time, he's just never wanted to use it, or he's just going to have a week's worth of training and that'll be enough? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if because he worked with Bruce, right, beforehand, before Bruce went missing.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he learned anything from good old Bruce before he left.
That's a possibility. But yeah, I just don't want them doing what they did with Laurel Lance, where she goes from, barely being able to take on, one street thug to suddenly going toe to toe with people who are part of the League of Assassins. I don't want them to do that.
Yeah, no, I feel you there, man. I feel you there. He also mentions wish we had an animated Supergirl. That would be interesting. I don't know, have we had an animated Supergirl before? I feel like we probably have, maybe in like a Legion of Superheroes show.
We've had we've had her animated on the DCAU, and we've had a movie where she was the main character, but it wasn't called Supergirl. It was weird because like the movie was called, I think, Superman. What was it? I forgot the plot. I forgot the name of it. I just remember it was the movie where Supergirl lands on Earth at the same time Darkseid finds out about her, and so he tries to capture her and use her as an ally. So Superman and her have to team up to fight him. But yeah, she was the main character of that film, but it didn't have her name as the title, which I thought was weird.
And then last but not least, what DC character you want to pop up in the Arrowverse someday? Funny that Flash always references Marvel and sometimes Star Wars. Yeah, because I guess Flash wants to show how cool it is, how hip they are to modern geek pop culture. Who knows?
Oh yeah, it's because you got to assume that Marvel comic books just exist within the DC universe, and same vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, characters I'd love to see in the Arrowverse. I mean, obviously, we now have like an actor established for Bruce Wayne, so I'd love to see Batman appear in an episode of Superman and Lois.
I still have always wanted Nightwing and Blue Beetle to pop up in some way or another. So those would be other two characters I would love to see. Actually, I would even say, can I get the new version of Adam, please? Like, you guys already have Ryan Choi. Like, you guys are literally just chilling with this character that you've introduced for Crisis, but have never actually put him in a suit. I want to see this man in a suit, please. Can I get a new Adam? Thank you.
It's so funny because I think everyone was under the assumption that he was going to become the new Adam, because he gets announced as Adam the moment that it's announced that Ray Palmer is leaving the show. So I think everyone expected that to happen.
Yeah, I was waiting for like a costume reveal. I mean, probably a better costume reveal than what we got for Jordan Fisher here as Impulse, just something a little bit better. But yeah, I was really expecting Ryan Choi to be donating some sort of costume, but unfortunately we just didn't get that. All right, guys, I think other than that, that's going to do it for us here today. So thank you very much, everybody, for all your comments, all your questions. We always certainly love talking about this stuff with you guys. So thank you very much. But that will, in fact, do it for us here today. But of course, we certainly will be back next weekend. So definitely look forward to us next Sunday, live every Sunday at noon Central Time. So mark your calendars to definitely go ahead and join us there, guys. But Stuart, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter. Yeah.
Awesome, Stuart. Thank you very much, man, for certainly joining me here this week. We'll see if Indy can certainly join us next week, guys, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Also, remember, while we do have our Black Lightning review coming to you guys, we also have Batwoman, The Flash, Superman, and Lois are certainly back also. So definitely go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, if you definitely want a new home for your DC television reviews. And then, of course, we will be reviewing Loki for you guys when that winds up dropping June 9th. So definitely definitely go ahead and stay tuned. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right here up at the top. A Plus Opinions, very active over on Twitter as well as our main Facebook page. And you can also catch us over on Instagram as well as Twitch for you gamers also. But until next weekend, guys, do us a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.